where did that passion come from in saying like I this is what I want to do. I want to go into the medical field.
No, honestly, the story's kind of it's so random. Like when I was growing up, I used to always have to go to the dentist after school. Like my dentist was right across the street from my elementary school, like maybe a block away. So I'd go there after school. I'm used to going in there. I'm used to getting my cleaning done. And for some reason, I'm just used to them finding a filling or something to do on me. Like I just felt like it's normal. You're going, they're gonna fill a tooth, they're gonna clean you up. So I got normal. I got used to that. I had Medicaid at the time, so I had free government insurance. Everything was free. So basically, everything was getting done. Me being a kid, I had no idea. So I'm just like, all right, cool. I need fillings. I need this done. I need that done. I'm getting it done. Getting exposed to the field. Everybody in the office was so nice, so inviting. It was when I needed the braces that it really turned me off from dentistry. I was like, these people are all nice, but now I got to go to another office. Orthodontist. Orthodontist just sounds like the devil, man. Like I don't want to go to an orthodontist. It sounds crazy as a kid. I end up going there and I'm so scared they see it on my face. And I remember, I'll never forget this. The assistant comes up to me. She's going to take my impressions to get molds in my teeth. And she's like, when we're done with you, you're going to have a Hollywood smile. She smiles. And she had a Hollywood smile. And I'm like, man, I want to smile like that because I didn't like my smile at the kid. I'm a kid. When I smiled in pictures, if you've seen me before the fifth grade, my lips are closed in all my pictures. And that's not because of I felt self-conscious as a kid. Me as an adult, I look back at my old pictures. I'm like, man, I really must have not liked the way my teeth look. Because you look at my pictures when I got braces, when my teeth started to get straighter, braces out, my smile, the smile you met me with is that. That's a smile you always see me with. It's probably my profile pictures. It
Yeah.
gave me a reason to smile. When they made me feel like I have a Hollywood smile, I wanted to show it off the way she showed me hers. But the thing is, I went back to my general dental office for my general work. They had to pull a couple teeth for my braces. So I got exposed to pulling teeth surgery. They gave me all these injections. And I'm like, man, this is a pretty cool job. They do a lot of stuff here, and like everybody here is so friendly. They do an awesome job. They take care of people. I've never had a bad experience there. So I was like, I want to be a dentist one day when I grow up. And I just had this. That's the one thing I went to professionally, a dental office that they were always just professionals. Maybe I just went to really good dental offices. But you know what? It's a flip side to it because as much as I was inspired to be a dentist, my eyes really opened up in college. When I was an undergrad, I didn't really go to the dentist. I feel like when I turned 18 or 19, I kind of just stopped going. I didn't get another dental checkup until I was in high school. I mean, until I was in dental school. And when we took my x-rays and I saw how shallow my little fillings were, excuse my language, I was like, man, these motherfuckers drilled my teeth for no reason. I really felt that way, man. I'm like, man, because I felt like I have government insurance. Every time I come in, they see me, they see something small that might need like a sealant, they're gonna just fill it. And so my perspective changed in dental school. I'm like, I still want to be that dentist that takes care of people, makes people feel welcome, makes people feel good. But I don't want to be that dentist that's over treatment planning, doing unnecessary work. My idea is like save teeth first, make the patient happy. If I want something done to me or my family, that's the only reason I'm going to do it to you. If there's an alternative, I'll suggest it. But like that was pretty much my journey. That's my journey as far as my interest, what gauged my interest, how my interest changed. So basically, when I was younger, it was more naive. I thought dentists are great. I want to be a dentist. When I got older, I got into dental school. I realized, wow, all this work that was done in my mouth, maybe they didn't have to do all this work, but they were such good people to me, and I just felt like they were doing the right thing. All worked out for me. It's just you change your philosophy. I feel like if you take care of people, you don't be that bad dentist. You can still take care of people the right way. But my thing was similar to how you were thinking about going to the NBA, right? I had no idea what it takes to be a dentist, dude. I got through high school. I would play basketball with you after school. I really would do my
Every
homework and come
day.
outside. I wasn't studying super hard for my exams. I wasn't thinking about AP classes. I wasn't thinking about college. My sister, being a pharmacist, she went to Rutgers. My whole plan was I'm just going to go to Rutgers like she did. She became a doctor. She went to Rutgers, Newark, right there, quick drive. So I didn't really take it serious. I got to Rutgers, Newark. I realized I do not know how to study. The Jersey City public school system, even if I went to McNair,
Yeah.
did not prepare me for college level education. And I'm like, man, what the hell are they putting us into? It took forever to learn how to study. And I feel like I genuinely studied for the first time in college. And when I aced my
Yeah.
first college exam, I'm like, man, I worked hard for this and I aced it. All I got to do is study going forward. Seems like common sense, right? Anybody would know that growing up. But if you don't put in the
Yeah.
effort, you don't are not dedicated to it. It doesn't happen. I
You
got to
bring up such a good
college
point.
and
Yeah, you
grades
bring up
were
such a
serious in college.
it,
They weren't serious in high school, but now that I'm in college and I realize, man, I got to apply to dental school. My GPA has to look good. So it starts with my first semester. When that hit me, I just changed my whole studying technique. I'd say it changed my life. Friends around me would see I've changed. I acted kind of stupid in high school, man. I acted like a kid, man. I just became more mature the more I started to study and to see what my path kind of is. I kind of took it a step at a time. Once my GPA got good, I'm like, what do I got to do next? And I'm like, what sets me apart from other dental students? Start doing internships, even if they're just internships of any kind. I'm like, let me just get some extracurriculars. I had a friend of mine who had a pre-dental society kind of on campus. He had a pre-dental club. It's more of a nonprofit organization. He goes overseas. At the time, it was Project Dental Africa. They go to Africa. They deliver school supplies, not school supplies, dental supplies, like toothbrushes, toothpaste, oral hygiene, things like that. They go over. They do mission trips. But he changed it to Project Dental All. I met him during one of my classes, and I had an idea that, hey, we don't actually have a chapter of this officially established at the school. And we don't have a pre-dental society. We have a pre-med society, covers all the medical stuff, but nothing for dental. So me as a dental student, I'm thinking I have no guidance. Nobody's telling me how to take my DAT. Nobody's telling me how to get to dental school. Nobody's preparing me for interviews. I'm like, I need a place, a resource on our campus that does that. And I saw he kind of has a half established organization. So I wanted to see if we can turn Project Dental All into our pre-dental society at Rutgers Newark, especially because the founder of the organization is a Rutgers alum. You know, he'd love to have the first chapter established there. So we established a chapter. Eventually, NJT called on. They established a chapter. Montclair has a chapter. Project Dental All started to spread to different universities. But me having established it, I was the president of the organization. I was able to interview people to come in other positions through that organization between the Newark at Rutgers, the Rutgers Newark organization, and NJT. We organized a mission trip to go to India. We were able to conduct a mission trip there. By the time I applied to dental school, I had good grades. I had a couple internships. I was a president and founder of the pre-dental society on our campus. And when I had these events, I was calling over deans from the Rutgers Dental School, calling them over, like, come here, come, we have a panel, would you like to be a guest? I actually got one of the deans to come down. I got to know him a little more personally. So basically, the journey is not really something that's set in stone to be a dentist. Kind of got to figure it out. And in my way, I just used those around me and tried to make myself a better candidate for my application. I feel like your application, let's say you're going to fill out an application when you're 21 years old, and you start thinking about being a dentist at 14. You have 7 years to tell yourself, how can I build myself to set myself apart from everybody else that's applying? And that's kind of what I tried to do. I tried my best to do that. I wouldn't say I'm the smartest dental student. I probably wasn't the smartest person in my class. In fact, I was probably definitely in the bottom half. But at the end of the day, I hustled, I worked hard. I had to do what I had to do to get in there. And when I got in there, I worked my ass off to get out. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is what drove me is a passion from when I was a kid. I've always wanted to do it. So what drove me is like, this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do. Whatever I got to do it, I'm just going to do it to get there. And it wasn't too, I would say it was a hard road, but it's not as hard if it's something you want to do. As opposed to like what you want to do, there's a lot less spots in the NBA, man. So, it's a lot harder. You followed your dream, I followed my dream, but it's kind of like there's two different things. Like it's difficult. You had a harder road than I would have had. I'd say that your road's like one in a billion. It feels like you had skills, man. When you dedicated yourself, I remember entire summers we didn't see you. This one summer we didn't see you. You kept going to that 10th Street Park, and you like
Oh my
perfect your
God.
drive-ins. You became faster. I don't know how you do it to this day. You can spin the ball off your fingers, and it'll hit like the most awkward part of the backboard. And the way you spin it, it'll spin in. You made yourself so you can do a layup against any defender of any size and let it off from the most awkward angle. You worked on your game, man. You really wanted to do it. I knew you really
Dude,
wanted to.
I would be working my ass off. Like, so I would come back from school if I on days I didn't have after school practice, but on days I had practice after school, I would work out, come back home, do my homework, help out around the house as much as I could. I would close up the shop because my parents owned a little bodega, as you know, and I would go to the park and it didn't matter if it was raining, it didn't matter if it was snowing. I would wrap the basketball in like a plastic bag so like I could work on my handles. And I
Yeah.
remember I had this tree right outside the house, and the branches kind of like stuck out like this. Um, and I would shoot my shot on a fucking branch. My neighbors, because we lived in an urban city, my neighbors would be sticking. Her and her husband, they went to sleep around 9:30, 10. I would be outside on days when I worked at the bodega, dribbling the basketball outside. They would come out their window. They'd be like, dude, it's fucking 11 o'clock. Put this shit away. We're trying to sleep.
Yeah.
So I think about that stuff. But going back to dentistry really quick, what you said, like um the dentist would even they would fill in your teeth when you were on Medicare. Why do you think they did that? Is it because they just wanted to charge something to the bill because they know you had insurance, and they were like, okay, like, were they taking advantage of the insurance because they knew that you had coverage, and even though you didn't maybe need filling, but they were like, oh, let's just fill it because we could invoice the government. Is that
You know what? if I had to empathize and think back, there's so many ways I could put it. If I wanted to defend them a little bit, I can give you a defensive way. I can defend them a little bit, although it wouldn't be personal because I wouldn't do the same thing they did, or I can just tell you that they're scumbags. But I'd put it this
Yeah.
way: your dentist is a human being. You knew me from when we grew up, man. Like you know
Yeah.
things about me
Yeah.
that we can't even talk about on this podcast. And so, with
We
that
could
being,
talk about anything. Whatever we could talk about it
oh yeah,
as long as you were comfortable.
well, what I mean is, I'm just gonna make up a story. If I had a hit and run accident, I ran away from everybody, and you knew that from 10 years ago. We're not talking about that today. But my point is basically that everybody on this podcast is gonna see me as a dentist. They're gonna hear everything I said, and they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, "Man, that guy did a hit and run 10 years ago." Obviously, I didn't do that. But the point is, it goes to show you never know how a person is. We're all human beings. I'm
Yeah.
just a worker. I could be a good
Yeah.
dentist, I could be a bad dentist, and my dentist growing up was, I can't say they were bad dentists. Maybe that's just their philosophy, but this is what I had taken it as. When I have these shallow little fillings, when let's say I'm looking at a kid who was 10 years old right now, which was pretty much my position back then, I look at their teeth, and if I see they have grooves that might develop into cavities, the proper way to work on that is to do a sealant. I never had a sealant as a kid. From when I was a child, they would just drill the grooves and they'd fill them in with permanent fillings. And here's one thing I do like about it, honestly. If you do a sealant on a kid, you seal up the grooves that might get cavities. The sealants can come off easily. It's something that happens. They're not permanent. The filling is supposed to be permanent. So technically, they permanently sealed up my grooves. I'm not able to get cavities on these teeth anymore because the grooves where I'm prone to cavities are not permanently sealed up. And so, from that perspective, preventatively, they did a good job preventing my teeth from ever having cavities again. I never had a dental issue. I've never had dental pain to this day because they've sealed up almost everything that needed to be sealed. Now, the problem here is what I do is when I see a kid, I do sealants. The reason I don't fill their teeth up is my philosophy is I don't want to drill unnecessary tooth structure. Let's say you have a little bit of tooth structure we have to drill away. If we have to put a solid filling in there, we're gonna have to get rid of more tooth structure to really get it in there. Fillings nowadays are bonded in chemically. So you could drill a little bit of tooth structure away and chemically you could bond in just a thin layer of filling. I have old school metal fillings. They weren't bonded in chemically. So you have to drill a slot into the tooth, then you have to burrow it out sideways, almost like a trapezoid, so that the metal retains and doesn't pop back out. So when you do old school metal fillings, you're really compromising the tooth. You're removing decay, plus you're removing additional tooth structure to make room for the filling to stay in there. So when I looked at my fillings, I'm like, man, it looked like they probably just had to give me sealant, seal up my grooves, but they drilled out my grooves and then drilled into my teeth to put permanent fillings. So here's the thing, some dentists, like my dentist, if I'm being empathetic and trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe their philosophy is if we permanently fill these teeth, because the insurance covers it anyways, fillings are expensive. If insurance is paying for it, let's just fill this kid's teeth. Let's fill him up so he doesn't have problems the rest of his life and we're doing a good job. That could be one way to think of it. Another way you could think of it is maybe the dentist is just saying, wow, this person has Medicaid. I can do anything I want to this person. They don't know anything. These people are immigrants. We're an underserved population. He's just like every other person I saw the rest of the day that I was doing this to. There are
Yeah.
offices out there that will do that. They will. There are people that will plan work, and you're not supposed to. You can go sue those people. But at the end of the day, that's
Right.
the thing. It's about being a good person. If you're a dentist, I know people personally that I knew in dental school. I can't judge people, but when I've seen some people and I'm like, you know what, this person's gonna be a really good dentist because this is a very honest person in real life. Like, there's no way I think this person would ever trick me about their tooth. Then I have another person that's, just wants to conspire or just do something like I
Yeah.
could see that they're not really ethically the greatest person. I'm like, do I trust that person? Let's say that person has to buy a brand new car, or their son wants a new vehicle a couple years and it's $20,000 bill, and they see me walk in. Are they gonna look at me as a bag of money? Are they gonna look at me as a human being? So it's that. It's hard for me to judge what my dentist did as a child. The only lesson I could take from it was if they could make me feel that way even for a second years later, I don't want someone to feel like that in the moment or later. I make sure I explain all my treatment, make sure everybody agrees to a treatment plan. You have all your options. And when you come in, I double check again. Are you sure you want to do this? And I show x-rays. Every time take a full mouth x-rays, I go through every x-ray, show them everything they see. I show them all the measurements. I take out their gums. And the reason I do that, it must be almost PTSD. I feel like everyone that walks in doesn't trust me. And that's the mentality I kind of have to have because I look at dentists in the media, bro. Like they make us look evil from cartoons to TV shows. The dentist is an evil guy. People are like, oh, fuck, I gotta go to the dentist in like a random episode of a show. And they'll make a whole episode about how the guy's swollen for like the whole episode, man. They may give us a bad rep. People are scared of the dentist. People have dental phobias. So when people walk in, I'm like, they're expecting me to rip them off. Sometimes I can see it on people's faces when I'm giving a treatment plan. Like, oh, fuck. Here's the part where this nice guy turns into a businessman and tells me $10,000 bill after he's been nice for the last hour. I spent that first hour giving them all the
Yeah.
information they need. So when I talk to them about treatment, they're not surprised. It's not out of nowhere. They've had an hour of a conversation during the cleaning and everything that, hey, listen, expect this. This tooth was not feeling the cold. It means it's dead. I sit there and I talk about science for 15 minutes so that they really understand. I'm not bullshitting you. This is the anatomy. This is the science. You either do the work or you don't. It's on you. And that's my way of approaching it. It's different from my dentist. So what you were asking, like, do dentists do that? It depends. In any profession, any bad human being is going to do anything to exploit it. And so, yeah, you're right. Some people are like that, but I can't exactly say my childhood dentist was doing exactly that. I got to give him the benefit of the doubt, even though I wouldn't preventatively drill extra tooth structure. Maybe that was their philosophy. They're older than I am. Maybe the school thing was different back then. Now they teach us to be conservative. So it is what it is. It's just for me, it's
Yeah.
more of a lesson about how to change myself. But
I think honesty in any profession goes a long way, especially when you could be potentially invoicing someone thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, and profession that's just sensitive, like doctorate in any kind of field. Um,
you want me to give you a scumbag story? I can give you a scumbag story.
Everybody
My
likes a good scumbag story.
Actually, I'm not going to give you the name of the dentist, but this guy literally is 1 or 2 blocks away from your parents' old bodega from when we were kids. I'm not
I
going to say
think I know who you I know I think
don't
I
say
know who
his
you're
name.
talking about because
Don't say
I
his name
think
on here. But
I've
our
got the
community trust
craziest story to tell you about him, by the way.
about
But
that.
if it's the guy you're talking about,
It has to be that.
if it's
It has to be
did he
that
have
guy,
a girl who worked in there with red hair?
dude. I don't know, man. Um,
Okay. Because I got a
I'll
story
say
that
this. I'll say this. Did his last name start with the S?
I think he
It's
did.
him. It's him.
I
He's
think
on. He's there. I'm not gonna give the location, but he's there. This guy. I'm gonna tell you what he did to my dad, man. My dad has diabetes. When you have diabetes, you're more prone to gum disease. The gum disease is when there's plaque under your gums and it starts growing so deep, it starts to eat away your jawbone. And that's how gums recede. People think you get old, you lose your teeth. It's because of gum disease. You lose bone through gum disease, teeth get
holy
looser.
shit, I
You
had no
keep your
idea.
gums strong, you keep your gums clean, and you make sure you don't have bone loss your whole life. You'll have teeth until you die. But my dad being diabetic, he's more prone to gum disease, more prone to bone loss. So bacteria grow under his pockets. Pockets are like
Mm,
the in your gums in your teeth a lot quicker. And
hmm
you're supposed to get something called a deep cleaning. A deep cleaning is when they go under there, they clean out all the plaque and bacteria, but then they also scrape the roots and they smoothen the roots so the gums can attach back to a smooth surface because the bacteria makes the roots rough. It makes it an environment where they can thrive. So this is called a deep cleaning. They charged him for deep cleanings for 10 years, whether insurance covered or not. And I found out they did a regular cleanings above his gum line. When I got into dental school and he was my first patient as a family member, I brought him in. I saw his gums. I could stick a probe about this big all the way under his gum line. And I'm like, they never been cleaning down there? He's like, they always do deep cleanings. And I'm like, what do they normally do? She's like, the lady pulls out the machine, she cleans it with the water. I'm like, have they ever got you numb? Have they ever went under your gums? Have they ever scraped you? Have you ever noticed you're even bleeding profusely after the cleaning? They're like, no, I'm in and out in 30 minutes. And that's when I realized him having government insurance. They were billing deep cleanings and they were bringing him back 3 times a year for regular cleanings, which are supposed to be deep under the gum a little bit to maintain the gums. They were just doing regular cleanings his whole life. He's never been numbed for a cleaning in his life. I gave him injections in his whole mouth and numbed him and I cleaned his teeth. It took me 3 years. Now it's been 5 years since that visit. 5 years later now, he's at like 80%, which is crazy because all that 10 years of damage that they pretended they did, they
Yeah,
didn't do. And I see it a lot in the underserved communities, which is why if you want to go to a dentist and you want to get a full set of veneers or crowns,
yeah,
find a place that will charge you like cash because as much as you don't want to pay it, those people don't get paid by insurance. Their business is probably a 5-star business because people paid them $20,000 and are happy with the work because they're doing good work. That's the thing about dentistry. It's a cheaper place you find where they do freer work because they take your insurance. Sometimes those places are more like factories. There's private offices and there are DSOs, which are more like businesses like Walgreens and CVS that are more business driven. They're gonna just hire a dentist if they don't like that the dentist isn't producing or the dentist is starting to ask questions like, "Hey, why are you making me drill this stuff?" That man's fired. They're gonna find the next one because the business is gonna keep going. So people don't know about that aspect, but there's different offices, there's different business structures of offices that when you look in the office, you won't even know. But if you ever need advice, just let me know, bro. I'll look in the office for you. I'll help you out.
well, I think I'm gonna have to come to you for advice because my wife she's been having some pain with her teeth back here, and she went to a dentist right across the street from her house, and they did X-rays, and they found out there was her teeth. They said there was nothing they could really do. Is her molar that was too close to one of the other molars, and it when and it was like deep rooted, and you can't really take it out because you need your molars to chew. Um, so I don't know. She'll have to reach out to you and ask you for whatever the right process is
Yeah,
for that.
I'll
But
talk to her
going
about that.
back to that dentist, you're right. I mean, so I, my experience with him, if it's the same person we're talking about, and I think we're talking about the same person,
Pretty sure he's the only one in that area, so it's him.
he had this assistant that was working for him, and dude, like she was so flirtatious. Like she would have her tits out every time, like we went in for a cleaning. She would put her tits like right in my face. Um, and I mean, I was young, and I was like, oh, I don't care. Great, ooh, but but yeah, I think we might be talking about the same person. It's it's interesting when you figure out like I guess let me ask you this, how do you identify a good dentist from a bad dentist?
You know what, man? That's a really difficult question. But the first thing I would do is, it's hard to tell because there's not a criteria what's a good or bad dentist. I almost feel like if I class myself as a good dentist, I'm going to tell you what you would expect in my office. But it's not, I'm not like the greatest either. Like, I'm good ethically. My skills in 10 years from now, I'm
Okay.
going to be better than I am. So it's like you have to judge them based on how they are as a person, how they are skill wise, how they treat people. Sometimes, and it sounds crazy, I'm going to say something very general, but just know it's not true. It's almost like being judgmental almost. But let's say you walk in an office and the front desk people are super pleasant. They're having a great day. You go into the back and you see the dentist, and the dentist greets you, introduce themselves. Let's say they remember you. They're very personable. If they remember interactions from last time, they remember you a little bit and they're personable. That's one thing I look for. I look for someone that doesn't want to treat me like just another patient. Like they're thinking, all right, this is Hardip walking in. This is the guy that has number 15 we've been watching for the last 3 years. We got to make sure it's still okay. Like I want
Okay.
someone like that first of all. So the first thing is
Yeah.
personality, how personable they are and
Right.
how good they are too. Second thing is for me, how do they explain treatment? How do they give me the options? When I tell somebody what's wrong with their tooth, I give them about 4 or 5 different options if I can. I give them as many as I can. I tell them the risk and benefit of all the options. I tell them basically, if they ask me what would you do if this was the case, I give them an honest answer of what I would do and the risks and benefits of it. Some dentists, though, you walk in and they're like, "Hey, man, you have a cavity, you need a filling, man. It's real deep. You might need a root canal," and that's it. That's your conversation, and you don't know what the hell's going on. And they give you a bill. You talk to the front desk about the money. You're not going to see the dentist until next time. That's what I'm not looking for. I like when the
Okay.
work's explained to me, I can ask questions. They give me a bunch of different options and they want to work with me. Let's say I need a root canal and they don't do root canals here. I want you to send me to a root canal specialist you like. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, you can find any endodontist in the network. I want to hear this is the endodontist my office refers patients to. I've never heard a bad report from this guy. His root canals have been great. This is why I refer to him. That's a doctor that cares about their patients enough to send them somewhere good so they can come back, and still be good. Stuff like that. I just kind of, it's
Yeah.
almost a simple stuff. And it seems almost common sense, like that's the type of stuff you'd want. But when you go to a
Right.
dental office, often half that stuff doesn't happen because the dentist's in a rush, they're running around. I feel like people lose the passion with age. Um, I've talked to older dentists that said that the first 5, 6 years in their career, they worked super hard. They did really advanced things. At a point, they felt like a hero for people. But for them, it just took 1 or 2 patients that when they were trying to be the hero and it went wrong and the patient sues them or gets them in trouble, that's what makes the hero die inside the dentist. And by the time you're 50, some people, this is just a job to them. They're like, shit, man, this is another guy's tooth to clean. This is just another molar that's walking in that I've been watching. One of the millions I'm watching this practice. I don't want to get to that mentality. It gets there though. So when you say, what do you look for in a dentist that's going to treat you right? Someone that still has that like young enthusiasm as a fresh grad, someone that clearly enjoys what they're doing, someone that spends time, because time is money, to talk to you and make sure that you understand everything. To me, that's a good dentist. And like I would ask your wife, did they do that with you? Did they give you different options? Did they sit with you and communicate? Who broke down the money to you? Was it the front desk or the dentist? Was it who told you the definitive treatment you need, your final treatment?
Mm,
Dentist say the
okay.
front desk will talk to you about it. Did they give you your options? Things like that, basically.
Yeah.
I'm
I
kind of
think they
saying
told her that there was nothing they could really do. They
like
said you could get retainers, and that's really it. I think they only gave her one option. Let's say if some kid is watching this podcast and he or she is excited about being a dentist and wants to do that as a profession, what would you tell them?
what do I tell them? First, go to the dentist yourself and make sure you like it. And something I did early on is I didn't just go on the patient side. I actually
Yeah.
asked my dentist the same one I grew up with going to. And that's another reason that I give them the benefit of the doubt. Getting to know them personally when I shadowed them, I asked them, can I just come and shadow? Shadowing is where you just kind of stand around and just watch. I got to
Yeah.
see the way patients come in. I got to see when the dentist is not in the room, how the assistant has to interact with the patient, keep them company. I thought that was one of my favorite parts, man. The assistants, if you have a good assistant that takes care of your patients,
Yeah.
the patient will have a good time waiting for you. And they had a really good assistant, and that I love that guy, man, to this day. Never forget that
Yeah.
man. I want an assistant like him one day when I own an office. He kept the patients happy. He kept me happy as the person shadowing. But when I got to see the dentist drilling, doing all the work, and I saw the workflow, I'm like, man, this is something I could really do. I like working with my hands. And I'm like, every single case is different. Every cavity is looking different. Sometimes in the middle of a procedure, if it's too deep or something, they'll call an audible and they'll go grab some extra materials. We need a little pulp cap now. I discovered all these things I would have never known about. And I'm like, man, it's pretty cool. Just in every single
Yeah.
tooth different, every patient's different. It made me want to be a dentist more, shadowing on that side of the chair, getting to watch people. I'm like, yeah, I could be on this side. I didn't
Yeah.
shadow to do that intelligently. I shadowed because I needed a certain number of hours for my applications. But what I would tell somebody younger is shadow out of just the want and the need to do it. Just if you actually are serious about the career, go shadow.
Yeah.
I have a friend that shadowed a dentist for 600 hours. I only shadowed 50 hours. I'm a dentist. I have a friend that's not a
And
dentist. He shadowed 600 hours before he realized I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Sounds like a lot to me, to be honest. I wouldn't say go shadow
that
600
is
hours.
that
He did that.
that's a lot. And how much money can they be expecting to make once they become a dentist? And I'm guessing there's some sort of
Yeah.
process.
That's something I wish somebody talked to me about, man. I Googled how much a dentist. It said median
You
salary is
sounded
maybe like
you sounded
150.
defeated when you said that.
Dude, 150 starting was the median salary. And I'm like, wow, that's great, man. I'm a guy that makes $0 right now. I'll be happy to
Yeah.
make 6,000 at Walmart as a manager the way
Yeah.
I grew up. If I make
Yeah.
150, I feel like a king.
Right.
Well, when you get out of school, there's a couple of factors. One is when you get out, you don't always work right away. Sometimes you have to do a residency because you're not exactly ready to
Right.
treat patients and run a whole office, right? So
Right.
residency is about a year or two in a hospital. Or if you find someone that wants to train you and have you take it slow, you can work at someone's office as an apprentice. But the reason the money specifically is a challenging thing to talk about is it really depends on where you go to school. You go out of state, your tuition is going to probably be double. You go to an in-state dental school, and if their in-state tuition is cheaper, it might be all right. When I was going to dental school, I expected the debt to be about $200,000 or so, maybe 300,000, something in that range. I'm talking to recent grads and people that are in school now, and because of the inflation, the way everything's going up, because even my tuition went up every year when I was in school. Now it's
Right.
outrageous. I think dentists now are graduating with a minimum. Like you have, it's probably like if you really are paying it off, your parents helping you or something, people are around like 200,000, 250. But someone that's just doing it on their own, I've seen people come out of dental school with like 350 to 600,000 in debt. And that's in New Jersey. If you're in California going to UCLA, you're over $1 million.
Yeah.
When you come out and you're making
Wow.
150 a year, how long do you think it's
Wow.
gonna take? And here's another thing. It's one thing that's another thing. You have to be comfortable with the debt. I didn't know. I knew it was going to be expensive, and I knew it's something I want to do because it's something I'd like. So I didn't even look at the money. I'm like, I'll be happy with that salary even if I'm paying a loan. I don't care. But for someone that wants to make that solid 150 a year and they don't want debt, it's not going to happen. It's not realistic unless you have someone paying for your school or unless you get a scholarship or something ahead of time. That's when you got to really plan ahead. Someone like me who knew I want to do this from 10, if I really did the research, I could have done externships in high school. Like if anybody's listening to this and they're from New Jersey, if you're still in high school, there's an externship at the Rutgers School of Dental Medicine. It's called the Gateway to Dentistry Externship for Dentistry, I think. You can apply to that. So while you're in high school, you get to go over there during the summertime and you get to spend the whole day with the dental students. You get to see what life is like for them. I did something similar to that in dental school. I applied for the Gateway to Dentistry internship. The externship is from high school. The internship is in college. So I did it between my third and fourth year of college. I got to go there. They let me actually take hand pieces. They let me drill on plastic teeth, mannequin teeth. They almost walked me through what an orientation would be like for a dental student. Showed me and let me talk to dental students, so I got to gauge with them, ask the same questions you're asking about the money, the pay, and everything. And what I realized is even those dental school students didn't know what to expect when they got out because I can give better advice now than they gave me when they were in school. Just the way I'd give better advice now than when I was in school. Trust me, I feel like no one expects what it's like when you get out of school, but if they can do anything now in high school, you could do an externship or you can shadow so you can know if you really want to if you don't want to waste your time in college. You'll know in high school if you want to do it or not. I feel like if you shadow. When you get to college, you still want to do it. There's internships. You can apply to internships in different dental schools. I know the Rutgers School of Dental Medicine has one. The cool thing about that one was when I took that internship, it guaranteed me an interview regardless of my application because I've already been in the system. They know me personally now. They know I have an interest in it. They know I have a passion for it. I'm taking the time out of my day to do an internship in this. So regardless of my grades, I'm a little bit ahead of other candidates now. They're interested in me. So I was guaranteed an interview through this. So that's another thing. Not everybody gets an interview. You can apply to 10 schools. You might get no interviews. If you do the internship at Rutgers School of Dental Medicine, it guarantees you an interview at the least. Um,
Yeah, you think about all these extra steps that you do. So that's great advice to kids that may be watching this and saying, "Hey, I want to go into this profession." And I think that same advice applies to any young kid who wants to do any cool job as they get older, or just any job in general. Like, don't you don't just have a resume and you send it out to like 150 people. You're gonna probably get like two or three response, but it's taking that extra step of networking, saying, "Hey, can I come shadow you?" Because those are the things that are gonna make you shine a little brighter than the candidate that may have better grades than you or has a little more experience than you.
it's almost like relationships are more important than anything. You build relationships with people, you get people to know you, and if you're actually good at what you do, people put you in places to succeed.
Yeah. And it's fun. We were just talking about debt, and I think about the debt that kids come out of college with. And we were just a few months ago, we were in a Tesla coming back from New York. We got an Uber, and this guy picked us up in a Tesla, and we were just chatting, and we were like, "Oh, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm trying to pay off this debt I have. I'm in dentistry school, and I have about $450,000 worth of debt that I need to pay off, and I'm still
I
in
feel like that's
school."
average for people that graduated from my school. That's what it looked like for most people.
And I think about that, and it's baffling to me because I go, you are these kids that are coming out of school are crippled with student loan debt. Like it is so defeating to well, at least the it feels like when I came out of college, like most kids, and this debt that I'm still paying off, and I'm actually on track to pay it off in this September. So I got a
Right.
whole debt
Great.
tracker, and I'm really excited about it. Um, it I feel like it emotionally defeating because you have like this thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of debt that you have to pay off. Um, and I feel like it sets you behind a little bit in life as well. And then there's this whole stigma of kids living with their parents. There's nothing wrong with that because they're crippled with this debt, this
Yeah,
massive
nowadays
thing
you
that
see
they
more than
have.
ever. Like honestly.
Eh, Yeah, and it's what's even more scary if you peel the layer deeper, dude. Like, look at these companies that give these student loans. Like, my wife and I started to unpeel like our debt, and we started to look at the interest. And the interest that we're charging was like 12%. It's like, why
Crazy.
are you charging college students 12% interest
I'm getting my
on
loans are
getting their
7 to 8%.
education?
My loans are 7 to 8% on hundreds and thousands of dollars of debt. So like hundreds and thousands of dollars, 7%. It's like for some people that 7% is what they hope to pay in the year. That's how
Yeah,
much the interest is.
yeah,
Yeah. But like, you know what's crazy, man? It does set you behind considering like let's say your expectation was to make that 150,000 as a dentist. I'm just talking about myself, man. I was in high school. I'm like, man, I'm gonna be making 150,000 a year. I didn't think about the debt. That's one thing. When I gotta buy a house one day, a new house now is gonna be at least 700,000, just the way the market is. And on top of that, if I ever want to actually fulfill my dream and own my own dental office and have that vision of what I wanted, which I had when I was a kid, it's gonna be over $1 million right there. At least 1.5 or $1 or $2 million to open up an office or buy someone out and get equipment. And so, really, that's why if you think about a dentist who's rich and who's really well off, you don't think of someone my age. You think of an old man with white hair with his hair combed back on vacation. That man, he worked 60 years, like 30 years to get to a point where he can finally. And back then, those dentists, their loans were like 70, 80,000. Houses cost like 50,000 back then. So they got out of dental school sometimes after working a year or two. They buy a practice. For me, it's not realistic to buy a practice for another 10 to 15 years. Although people take loans out and do it sooner, so they'll get doing it faster. But if I was someone that wanted to pay everything down, including a house, a loan, and then open up my office, I'd have to wait a solid 10 to 15 years of working, maybe more with the economy now. So it's like
yeah,
kind of it's the American structure where you kind of have to take on debt. It's almost like the false American dream where you just take on debt to make it look like you're living a great life. If you want to own an
right.
office, you want to pay off your debt, you want to buy a house, like you're gonna be in debt as a dentist. So whatever money you're making in the year, you're still gonna be living like a regular guy, and everyone's gonna look at you like you're fucking rich. And you gotta be
Yeah.
as humble as the guy next to you that's not in debt, who's making 60,000 a year, that doesn't have to worry about a loan. That's the difference.
Right.
Financial freedom is huge, and that's
Dude,
why
it's massive.
you got to be into this for the love of the game. If you're in this for the money, that's when the people get miserable. I think that's why we have the highest suicide rate. I was in this for both the money and for the passion. And when the money fell off, I'm like, at least I still fuck what I'm doing because I love working with my hands. I love being a people person. I like taking care of people. I won't sleep at night if I'm a scumbag dentist. I can't
Yeah.
think about how I'm doing you harm and go to sleep. So just me personally, I still fit in the field. And I take it slow, man. Like I said, I would have been happy working at Walmart growing up. I didn't do much growing up, man. I had no money growing up. So for me, I'm cool. I'm comfortable. But people in my position, they're fucking stressed, man. They got like 5 loans. They're trying to get married. They're trying to get a house. They're trying to open up an office. For me, man, I take a year at a time, man. I could die tomorrow. It's just me. I'm spiritual. I'm religious too. I think God's more important than any of this shit. So for me, it's like just be a good person. God will put you in the right position day by day. I'm happy to be smiling right now. You know what I mean? Like it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing. Financial freedom is huge. If you're looking for financial freedom, it's not going to be here. I suggest become an engineer or like work from home or like my favorite field. If I can go back just to be a guy that wants to make money and be lazy, I'm gonna go and work my hardest. If I'll just be in the field of IT or cybersecurity, something I can work at home, and if you have a passion, you'll actually keep taking courses, keep expanding. You're not going to be just an average worker. Let's say you're in cybersecurity, you just keep taking boot camps, keep taking certifications, keep taking courses. By the time your contract negotiations come back, if they don't give you a raise at least, you're going to be able to apply somewhere else for a higher position. Like I feel like I have the work ethic to work the corporate ladder and have the motivation to do it. I feel like I could be a millionaire honestly if I choose a different route, much quicker than dentistry would ever do for me. But I just like it, man. I have fun doing it to this day. I go in, I'm driving the office sometimes thinking, oh, cool, I'm gonna pull a tooth today. Like the satisfaction of when that thing comes out and hasn't broken down. And if you got it out in 10 minutes and the guy gets to leave in 10 minutes, that satisfaction of making them happy, I look forward to that. But the financial freedom's not there at all, man. And so if you're in it for the money, I'd say it's like you got to think about it double. Go shadow and see if you really want to do this.
Some dentists even they partner up with one another, right? And they open up offices together and like they'll bounce patients off from like, hey, I'm a specialist in this and you're a specialist in this. And I could say, hey, if you do root canals, you know, just go down, the hallway and up a left.
Yeah. You know what? It works in some cases. Like if I had a friend of mine, let's say I know you really well, man. If you were a dentist, I'd feel very comfortable opening up a practice with you because I know you're not a bad person either. You're gonna treat people good and you're gonna be humble. You're gonna treat the office and the patients the way I want to. So it works, but I've seen people in partnerships where they have different philosophies and they're trying to run one office. And then when you start mixing up patients, problems start coming up and it creates bitterness. It ruins the relationship sometimes between people. Although it can work because a lot of the times nowadays, especially, that's the only way you're going to open up an office. You got to go half with somebody and make it work. The only thing here is you're splitting the money 50-50 with somebody. Um, although you're splitting the responsibility 50-50 with somebody. But if you want to take the
Right.
responsibility on as an owner, me
Yeah.
personally, I'd rather just own myself because if I'm an associate like I am now working for someone else, I'm probably only going to get like a 30 to 40% pay increase by
Hmm.
owning the place. But I don't have the liability of owning the place. Right now, I'm just a 9 to 5
Yeah.
employee. I go home and do what I want. I don't
Right.
care about supplies or any of that stuff. So the amount of responsibility that gets added just at 50%, it's not worth it to me. You want to add that
Yeah.
responsibility about 100%, to my opinion.
Opening a business up in general is such a liability and such a headache, and such a risk. And yeah, I'm sure it's rewarding if you're really passionate about it. But then now when you have to split that business with somebody else, I think the risk is even higher. And then uh, not just like the financial risk, but the emotional risk of, oh, shit, what if this person is not as passionate, as driven as I am about this business? And what if they're doing it just for the money? Like you don't. So I think you have to be kind of level set. You have to level set the expectations and be on the same page. Like, hey, we are in it. We're in it together. Here's our responsibilities. Speaking of
Yeah.
that, you were talking about like taking tooth out. You ever had a patient who opens up their mouth and like those are the ugliest teeth I've ever seen. Close your fucking mouth. Like, like what?
Honestly, I'll be very honest with you. I've had patients open their mouth up and it looks brutal. And sometimes
Yeah,
if they're a young patient, like 22, 20, 23 years old, I just feel so bad. I'm like, I want to rehab this guy and get him back to shape, right? Then there's certain cases where they just open their breath, right? They open their mouth and their breath just comes through the mask, right? there's hacks for stuff like that. Sometimes you start chewing like a breath mint or something under your mask so that you smell your mint. That's the only way. For me, it's just that. The worst thing I've ever experienced is just
Okay.
there's one guy that hadn't been to a dentist his entire life, and he was 46. And when he came
Ooh.
in, there's black plaque around all of his teeth, like almost like his teeth had rings around them. And as soon as he opened his mouth, it smelled like I was in like a public restaurant. It felt like I was in Penn Station in Newark, bro. That's how I felt like when he opened his mouth. It was brutal. It was brutal. But I'm not gonna judge the guy. I'm like, whatever.
Liquid death, dude.
Yeah, man. I actually that day I actually went on the side. I got a piece of gum. I started chewing under my mask. I double masked, and I put on a face shield too. And honestly, at some point I was still kind of holding my breath. It's almost like think of it this way. Let's say a sniper. They say when a sniper is aiming, right? You got to hold your breath for that last shot for the accuracy. Oftentimes in
Mhm.
dentistry, I'll see myself when I got to drill that one spot. I'll hold my breath real quick just to go drill that one spot. With this man, I was holding my breath for most of the appointment. But honestly, stuff like that happens. It's part of the profession. You got to be willing to. You can't deny people for stuff like that. I mean, you probably
Right.
like you can't
Right.
choose to. I guess. I don't think it's right, but no, I've been there, man. We're all human. I've been there. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, man. I don't want to do this
Yeah.
right
But
now. But
but but I bet
the
but I bet
dentist
it's
makes you want to do it. Yeah.
yeah. I was just going to add to that. I was just going to say I bet it's probably one of the most rewarding things when it's all done and they've got the biggest smile on their face and they just want to be like, come here, let me give you a kiss on the mouth. Like you changed
Dude,
my life and my smile.
I have a case like that, man. I have a case like that. I have a case like that. A assistant of mine always tells me to this day how proud she is of this case. This kid was 22 years old.
Yeah.
His parents took him to the dentist when he was 4, and then they told him he doesn't need to go to the dentist anymore. They told him the dentist is evil. He's gonna drill your teeth for no reason. So he didn't go to the dentist. Now he's 22 and he has bad breath, and people are telling him stuff in college. So he decided to come to the dentist. As soon as I touched his gums with my fingers, they'd start bleeding. They were bright red. He had so much plaque under his gum line. He didn't have many cavities. I checked his teeth and I'm like, wow, you don't have many cavities. I'm like, you just never got cleanings. You have severe gum disease. You're gonna lose all your teeth off of gum disease if you don't get this treated. So we just did deep cleanings for him, what they did for my dad for 10 years and didn't. And then just a couple rounds, I think in a year we got him rebounded. He's so much happier now. Like I can see the smile on his face. He's more confident. He has an electric toothbrush now. He flosses. He does all the home care routine I told him about. And he genuinely believes in the dentist. And he told me when he has kids, he's gonna make sure he takes them to the dentist because he said my parents guided me the wrong way. There was nothing wrong with this. I just needed a good dentist. They had a bad experience. They projected it on me. A lot of parents, I see them doing that. They'll bring in their kids, and they taught me in dental school. One of the best appointments you can have with a kid is where you make the parents stay outside, bring the kid in alone, like make the kid comfortable in a more of an adult setting. Because once the parents around, they're gonna lean on that crutch. They're gonna want to be a baby. They're gonna want
Right.
to start crying, right?
Yeah,
When they're in
yeah,
the room with me, they kind of have to talk to me. But parents nowadays have shifted because they don't trust people. They have to sit with their kids in the room. They have to know everything going on. And oftentimes the kids will be completely calm. And the parents will be like, are you okay? Are you okay there? Are you all right? Did that hurt? And I'm like, yo, shut the fuck up, man. You're projecting
yeah.
all of your insecurities and all of your
Yeah,
like phobias onto this kid. And now he's
right.
thinking it's feel this way. There's kids I've seen be pleasant. As soon as mom walks in and mom starts being concerned, the kid starts being concerned too. I've told mom
Right.
straight up, this kid's more relaxed without you here. He's a mature kid. You got to give him more credit. Like, let me work with him. I'll let you know what's up. I've had that. Some parents are like, no, I want to be here. I want to make sure you're doing the right thing. And I'm like, all right, you can sit down and watch.
That's what the term is. They're helicopter parents. They want to be around their kid and monitor every single little thing, rather than letting them fail because you learn the most with your failures. And I'm not saying, you're gonna you would do something catastrophic in dentistry but I'm saying just in general.
I want to ask you a question
What?
about that.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
you
go
think,
for it. Yeah.
do you think that, let's just take it outside of dentistry, helicopter parents. Now I'm thinking, why are they like that these days, right? I think back when we were kids, man, we used to walk or take a bike to like the other side of the city. We could have got kidnapped or robbed, and our parents understood that, like, even though they were kind of scared, they didn't want us to go. We kind
Yeah.
of just got to go, and we get away with it, and we'd be okay. Nothing would happen, and we've been in dangerous situations. People that tried to rob
Yeah.
us, and we'd be the guy on the way or got robbed. Nowadays, kids are so protected. And I don't know if the world's worse or because it's our generation of parents being the newer parents, but like
Yeah.
helicopter parents, I feel like they're like that in general, and then they take it into the dental field. I want to ask you, what makes you think why are parents more like that now versus 15 years ago in general?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of is on social media, to be honest. I think our parents were in a generation where social media was only embraced by younger kids. It was a fad by the social media. Like the younger kids were on um, Facebook, they were on Instagram, and now you're seeing parents on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And I think it's part of that. Um, Politics has a lot to do with it too. Everything's become so fucking politicized, and people make their political views their identities. Um, so I think there's a little bit of that too. But yeah, I mean, I think to your point, I remember when we were kids, we just kind of like did our thing. Like we would play on the street. Yeah, we would, fuck around and be kids. Like I remember we would do stuff like pretend to pick up a rope. Like you would be on the other end, I would be on this end, and then a car would come by, and like to fuck with the car, we would like pretend to pick up a rope.
Stupid, you're
The
right.
car, the car would. They were like, the guy would like, like what are they
Oh,
picking up? Like,
oh man, bro, you're right. That's so stupid. But yeah, man. We
uh,
were out just having fun, man. I felt like that,
yeah,
like these days, it also probably has to do with video games too. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to go out
yeah,
anymore. Your friends are
yeah,
on your phone. I used to have to
yeah,
go outside your house and yell your name and have a risk of your mom like wanting to kick my ass. Like why are you disturbing us? Like if I had to come get you, that's kind of how
yeah.
it worked.
And I talk about this with my wife a lot, and I say when we have kids, I want them to be really independent, and I want them to be independent in the sense like if it's from a younger age, I want them to be able to go to school by themselves. Like if
Hmm.
it's in New York, if they have to get on a bus, get on a subway, get on a path, I think you teach them those things from a younger age, so they learn to not lean on their parents as crutches, but
Do you
obviously
think
still
we had it
instilling
easier then?
confidence.
Do you think we had it easier with immigrant parents? Because at some point with them working, we kind of had to become adults and just walk to school and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I got
Oh,
walked
that's
to
a good
school,
point. I
but
never thought of it that way.
but here's the thing, before my mom actually started working, she let me walk to school and just to see how it is.
Yeah.
She'd follow me. And there's a George Lopez episode about that, man. He has Max walk to school and George is following him and he has Ernie pretend to be like a pedophile to see if Max would get in the car. And he's proud that Max ran away. That's when he knew Max could walk to school. I found out my mom did the same thing to me. She followed me staying a block back to see if I'd make it without interacting with strangers and stuff. For a week, she was following me without me knowing. When she saw I could walk to school for a week, she let me start going. I found that
Dude, that
out.
is bizarre. I saw a video of this recently. Russ, see if you could pull this up. If you go on maybe TikTok or YouTube, type in um, parents uh, kidnap daughter. The
Yeah.
video, I'll tell you what the video is. It's basically uh, this little girl gets in a car with a stranger, and the guy grabs her, and then the someone grabs her from the back and she starts screaming. And they reveal their mask like, oh, this it's like your mom and dad. Like, how dare you get in a car with a stranger? And so Russ, see if you could pull that up. Um,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
and I can never imagine doing something like that, like getting in a car with a stranger. I mean, but to your point, I remember, yeah, we were very independent. And I think that was because that was one of the blessings of having immigrant parents is like, they were just like, hey, we've got to work. We can't be on top of you all the time. And me being the youngest out of my siblings, I think I got away with a lot too, as just any
Here. I'm the
young
youngest too, man. I
siblings.
got away with a lot too. It helps.
Yeah. So, like my brother and my sister, they were a big shield. They were a big filter before shit got to me. Um,
Yeah.
so that's a really good point. Like I think having immigrant parents, them kind of relying on you to get your shit done. I remember like we would walk, to your point, we would walk to school, we would walk back, and we would see a lot of crazy shit, like growing up in Jersey City, going to public schools in Jersey City. We would be seeing knife fights. And I remember one time walking back from school, this guy pulls out a knife and he's just slashing tires and he's right in front of us. And we were like, what the fuck? But
Yeah.
obviously, you know, we were like, that I don't want to be associated with that. I'm gonna cross the street and keep walking.
My
Um,
hardest time was I went to McNair,
yeah.
and at high school we had to wear ties. You know how hard it was to walk home during gang initiation week with a tie, bro? That was the hardest thing to do of all time, man.
What is a gang initiation week? What is that? Is that?
Every October, like wherever these little sets of bloods, I don't even know if they still exist. They had like Rolex and like
Oh
brand
yeah,
back in the day, like different
yeah,
sets of
yeah,
bloods.
Yeah.
in the city, and their initiation would be like you have to get either they'll walk in a gang of like 20 people and they'll just go beat up random people to see if you're hard to get into the gang, or you'll have to get your ass beat by 20 of the gang members and you'll kind of be running away and getting your ass beat. And like in the middle, if I'm walking home from school and I'm just looking, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck are you looking at?" They're gonna be coming. I'm gonna
Yeah.
whoop. They're gonna whoop my ass.
Yeah.
I'd be so scared. Dude, I was scared as shit walking home during October, man. But like because it was always a gang initiation month.
Yeah.
I started taking light rails and buses more. I wouldn't walk. Like there's times I would take the light rail and bus regardless, but there's days I'd walk. I made sure I didn't walk in October, man. So I know you mean we've seen a lot of crazy stuff. And like we didn't really tell our parents about that stuff. Honestly, I never
No
told my parents
way.
like all this
No
stuff, avoid.
way.
I feel like kids nowadays are open. They'll tell their parents about that stuff. And I'm thinking like if I'm a kid now, right? Like if I go back and be a
Yeah.
kid, me being more mature and more of an adult,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm more expressive now. I probably would tell my mom like, "Oh shit, yo, these people were beating up some kid for no reason the other day, right?" When I was a kid, I guess we kind of just knew better. It kind of felt like we were gonna
Yeah.
get in trouble, but we didn't do anything just for talking
Right.
about
Like, why were
it.
you around that?
Are you
Why did you
around that?
like, yeah, exactly. Because,
Keep it simple. Go play your basketball. It doesn't matter. It's life.
yeah,
It feels
like,
like life out there. It doesn't really feel like something you tell your parents about, but it's like I don't know. I feel like if you send a kid out now, the world is softer, which is a little easier. Like as far as the world's more corrupt, as far as I feel like we're exposed in social media more to pedophiles and things of that nature. I feel like all this shit was there when we were kids. Nobody was exposed to it, so we didn't think about it as much. But now you think about it more, it's out there more. But I also feel like because we think about it more, those people, the actual pedophiles and the people that are actually like kidnappers and stuff, I feel like they feel like they can do it more because if they see it's being done so successfully online, they think they can do it. I'd say it this way. Let's say you're going to kidnap a child 30 years ago. You got to have some balls to do that. I mean, nowadays you can watch a video on like 10 videos on how it's already been done and pick one of those 10 methods and it makes you more
oh,
comfortable. Like that's my opinion. I feel like the internet makes it so accessible to do anything, man. If I want to do anything in the world,
it's
I
like the
can go to
wild,
the
wild
internet and
west,
watch
dude.
someone having done it and try to imitate it. And
Yeah.
I think because that's possible, we as parents nowadays, if we're parents, it's gonna be scary to send your kid out knowing that the world, anything can happen now. Anybody can do anything now. It was a
Yeah.
time where you
Uh,
kind of just thought people were limited to what they know how to do. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's just how I see it. If I have kids, I'm gonna see it that way. I'm gonna see it as I'd want them to walk to school independently. But then I have to think of how different is the world now than before. Was it just me thinking, oh, is it social media, or are people really more inclined to do shit like this now? Or
I think you're right. Like, there's a lot of shit that gets exposed now because of social media. But to me, for a long time, dude, I used to use social media as just a pure gutter when I was a kid. I would, this is when the Facebook days, and I thought social media would not be around at all for a long time. I just thought it was a gutter. It's full of bullshit, and everything
yeah,
that came out of my mouth was all garbage. And I thought social media would eventually die, and I was dead wrong about that. I think social media has um, become a. I think it gets a lot of shit, but honestly, dude, so much of what I know is because of social media, and I think social media can be used for a positive light rather than like negative. But to your point, there is a lot of fucked up shit on the internet, like pedophiles. And speaking of pedophiles, like there are people who I think set up pedophiles. Like there's like a
yeah,
whole community. Like they'll pretend to be a little girl, a little boy.
mhm,
Uh, when I said little boy, little girl, I'm talking about 15, 16, so right around that age. And like, oh yeah, I'll meet you at this, uh store, and then next thing you know, they have a whole crew. They alert
yeah,
the
how it
police as
goes.
well. They're working with cops and the authorities. And I think that's really cool too. Like they people because the cops can't dude, they have such a tough job already. Like they can't do everything, you know.
You know what's weird about those
Um
videos? They don't always call the cops. I've seen videos where they've let the guy go.
Shit. Oh, and they just like put them on blast on social
Benefit of the
media
doubt,
like
they've took the guy's word for it that the guy's learned his lesson and won't do it again. I've seen videos where they've done that, and then I'm like, I don't even that's debatable. I'm like, this guy should still be locked up. Another thing I saw in the comments one time, no, not in the comments. It's actually one of the pedophile guys. He was arguing. He's like, I would never have talked to an underage person. He's like, the only reason I did is because you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. They're like, what 12-year-old would ever tell me that? If I talked to any 12-year-old, they would never entice me to meet them. But you said this stuff that a 12-year-old will never say and entice me to come meet you because you're saying adult stuff. And at that point, I'm like, imagine those people that are trying to set him up. They're just Imagine the guy's not caving and they're just trying everything in the book to see if he caves. And at that point, you still shouldn't cave, so he's still wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like you see them trying to defend themselves. You see stuff like that where they try to play victim sometimes, where they're like, I would have never did this if you didn't act like this or act like that. The point is, you should have never did this in the first place. But
Yeah,
it's
you
crazy
fucking
seeing
moron.
actual human beings in these interactions because they're trying to use logic to talk about why they're right when they're wrong. You ever see any of those, like where the guys get super defensive? They start having these shitty logics of like why.
No, no, Russ, see if you could pull one of those pedophile videos up of them catching someone in the act. See if you could pull
Our
one of
old
those
school
up.
YouTuber Vitali, the old school YouTuber, he does a lot of those. I see him all the
Oh,
time.
does he still do a lot of those
You know what? I saw him in high school. I never saw him again in
in
college.
person?
He
In
just
person
made a
or like?
comeback off pedophiles recently. I've just been seeing him all over social media catching pedophiles. I'm like, he found his niche on the internet, I guess, again.
I think he was like the first YouTuber like who started the whole prank stuff, right? Like
Yeah,
he
he used to
would
go to
he
jail
would
for
do
real. He used to go to jail for real,
yeah.
do crazy stuff, and now he's this is his way of redemption on the internet. I'm not a jackass anymore. I'm gonna get pedophiles and I'm gonna do my due diligence to give back to society. That's his message now, and people are fucking with him again because of like honestly, it's crazy.
I remember he did some wild shit. Like he would have a suitcase with him and he would just go up to strangers and just like uh handcuff the suitcase to them and he would like count down and they would be freaking out like get this shit off of me, dude, because they would think it's some sort of explosion. But then
Yeah,
he'd be like, oh, you don't want it? Okay, I'll take it. And like he'll open it up, it's like a suitcase full of cash. You fucking
yeah,
son of a bitch.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
Russ,
stuff like
I'm guessing you can't find it. You weren't able to pull it up, I'm guessing. Okay. Imagine Russ doesn't even exist. I'm just talking into the ether. Yeah, dude, what can I ask you about veneers? Like what's like is are veneers like the new trend nowadays? Is that I'm seeing a lot of people with veneers on and how are veneers put in? Like some people I've seen someone like they shave their teeth like to make them like sharp and edgy, like almost like a shark's tooth, and then they put them on. And like some people where it's just like almost like a toothpick, a metal toothpick picking out, and then they just clip them on.
there's different. I'll start with like if they're popular or not. Veneers got really popular more because a lot of celebrities get them. You can get a set of six veneers in your front teeth today, and it's gonna look like you had braces, most likely. Like not every case, but most cases, and you can make them any color you want. You can make them different shapes.
So we were talking about veneers, right? And you
Yeah,
said why do people get veneers? You said
yeah,
it became popular because of celebs.
yeah. I think so. And like I'll explain to you what a veneer is. Let's just say you want veneers only on your front two teeth, just two central ones.
Mm,
You're gonna shave down the front of the tooth. You're gonna just shave down like a shell of tooth. A veneer is literally a shell that just goes right on the tooth, but it's bonded on chemically. So basically, you have your whole natural tooth structure. You even have your root that's up in your bone up there, right? The whole
yeah,
foundation is there. They're just gonna shave off about a millimeter or two, about a 1 to 2 millimeters off of the front of the tooth. So
yeah,
you're missing a layer of tooth. Then they're gonna put on a shell of tooth over it to replace it. And that shell is gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be any color, any shape. So if you shave down your front six teeth, just shave down the front
yeah,
of them, you can put on almost like a cap over it. Just think of it that way. It's just basically a cap, not a cap. It's like a clear shell going over your tooth. As opposed to a crown is different. A crown is when you shave your tooth down 360 degrees. A veneer, you shave down the front, you put a shell on. A crown, you shave it
okay,
360 degrees, you put a cap on that like goes on 360 degrees, not just in the front. And the thing about veneers is they're very popular now because people are thinking I can have straight teeth, I can have perfect teeth in a visit.
yeah,
And I talk to people about it. It really depends, man. Again, that comes down to your philosophy as a dentist. We can take courses on cosmetic dentistry where if the patient wants it and that's what they need, you're driven on how to make that result happen. And there's
yeah,
different aesthetics you can use, different shades you can use, different materials you can work with. But what my personal philosophy is I try to talk people out of veneers if I can. I try to find an alternative first. If you can straighten your teeth with Invisalign or braces and then maybe get some whitening, sometimes that's all you need.
yeah,
Sometimes you just have one tooth that's a little crooked and off, and you're gonna get all six veneers to make it look good. You can get a filling or a bonding or something on that one tooth to maybe change the shape of it to make it look better. But that's the thing. When you get a veneer, you're taking healthy teeth, you're shaving them down just to put a shell over them. And if the veneer is not done right, if there's no moisture control, there's any saliva on the tooth when it's put on, the veneer can fail over time. You can end up getting decay underneath the veneer, and then you'll lose a tooth if it's not done right. So you have to go to somebody that really does a good job with the veneers, gets them on. The borders stay looking good. Um, they're not too bulky. They're aesthetic. It's a tough thing. I'd say like if you're ever gonna get veneers, there's a reason people in Hollywood go to specific doctors for them. Like you have to be pretty good to get a really good result. And that's me speaking as a dentist. If I showed you a set of 20 different veneers, you'd probably think they all have beautiful teeth. Me, I'm gonna look at the angulation of their central incisor and be like, that can be a little bit more the mesial a little bit. Maybe you can rotate that
Yeah.
tooth a little bit. Maybe add some bulk to the facial here. I'm gonna be looking at it from a dental perspective because I know the anatomy of what a classic tooth should look like. Veneers try that. They try to give you a classic everyday tooth. So if I
Yeah.
can get that result somewhere else, somehow else, I would get it. But if it's only veneers or crowns, then I still tell the patient, are you sure about this? I tell people straight up, like, you look great. You look beautiful. If you feel like your teeth are bad because they're a little crooked, man, you're gonna be happier in 30 years probably with these natural teeth than 30 years of veneers and you've had to replace them 2 or 3 times and maybe they don't look the same anymore. Some people get veneers and they get tired of them because now you can't even bite into an apple. You're gonna break your veneer because it's too weak. It changed your lifestyle.
That's exactly why I asked you this question because I have a friend who has veneers and I think they're kind of fucked up, but I don't have the heart to tell him that his
Get
veneers are
them done in
fucked up.
America.
He did get them done in America, and the scary part is that he went to this some guy, and this guy did oral surgery, uh, putting this veneers in. He started I think at 8 p.m. and he finished with him at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and then
Yeah.
he got him in the cab, and I was like, that whole story about how he got him done just sounded very fucking shady.
Nah. You know what though? I unrealistically had this vision before I graduated. My boss that I work with, she has something called a CEREC machine. So you can actually create veneers and crowns in-house the same day. I'll tell you this, I'll give you an example. If you went to any office for veneers, they're gonna shave your teeth down and then they're gonna put on temporary veneers, similar like your original teeth shape. So you're gonna go home with temporaries that look like your original teeth. They're gonna work with the lab to make the veneers. And when the lab send in your veneers that they can put in permanently, you're gonna come back. They're gonna take off your temporaries, they'll put in the veneers. Sometimes they try them in to see if you like them. If they don't, they'll put your temporaries back on, work with the lab, make it a little bit lighter, make it a little bit different. What your friend had done was more of a 1 day case, something I dreamed about. My boss has something called a CEREC machine. I make my crowns and veneers in office. So if I drill your tooth down in an hour, I can get something to go on it. And I can pick any shade I want. I can stain it to different shades. When I found out my boss had this technology, I was like, man, what if she's not open on a Saturday? And I have a patient that just wants to like have a cosmetic makeover. They want like 10 crowns on top or 10 veneers on top, three on the bottom. I'm like, I can probably book them out for 12 or 13 solid hours. If they want to sit through it, I can give them same day teeth, permanent teeth if I want to. And in a
Mhm.
13-hour day, you make like 14, 15,000. I'm like, that's amazing. Well, I get to the real world and I get to start understanding about what veneers look like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, the risks and benefits of doing veneers. And also the moral part of trying to talk someone out of it. I try to talk people out of it a little bit, not completely, especially if you really want it, just to educate them. Are you sure you know what you're doing? Because a lot of people that come in, they know they want it, but that's
Yeah,
based on prior knowledge. Once I educate you a little bit, you might have second thoughts.
right,
So I try
right.
to do that, but I think that's what happened to your friend. I don't think anything shady happened to him. He probably went to an office where they can fabricate the teeth the same day. So the
Yeah.
dentist is like, let me find some off
Well,
hours where I'm willing to make my time to make $15,000. And if the patient agrees, I'll
but
bring it.
that's the thing. He didn't pay 15,000. He paid like 25 to $3,000 for it. And I was like, that sounds pretty
How many teeth
fucking
did he get
shady.
done? Like maybe the first,
He got 4 or 5 done at the top and he got 4 or 5 done at the bottom. No, maybe he
that'll
got
run you between 10 to 30,000 depending on which type of office you're at sometimes.
yeah, his whole story about it was I was just concerned.
No, I
Uh
know, man. But you know what though? You know what? You know why his veneers look bad to you?
what?
If I have mine done by a lab and it's gonna take 2 weeks for it to come, that lab technician, he makes teeth all day and he's gonna make beautiful teeth. Me as a dentist, I'm drilling, filling cavities all day, and now I have to do a smile makeover. If I don't have that much experience designing tooth anatomy perfectly,
Yeah.
it's not gonna come out right. Like it will. The dentist probably thinks he did a great job, to be honest. Anybody else that looks at it, you might feel like the angulation's off. It should be a little bulkier somewhere, or like maybe it's too square, not rounded enough at the corners. That's on the dentist. That guy looks like he designed all the teeth in his office. He milled them out and put them right in the mouth. If you end up not liking his design, it's just because you don't like his quality of work. Anybody else, like if I did that work, I'm not saying I'm better than him, but what if you like my anatomy better than his anatomy and you thought your friend's teeth looked better and him and me use the same process? I don't think the process was wrong, but maybe the guy's skill level wasn't there. But if your friend likes it, that's the most important thing. Because that guy, he wouldn't have cemented those on in case if your friend wasn't like, he probably put them on without cement. He's like, "Do you like your smile?" Your friend's like, "Yeah, I love it." He's like, "All right, we're gonna cement these on for you." That's probably what went down.
So what
Sometimes the
are the
patient's nervous too.
downsides? Sorry,
Sometimes
what
the
was that?
patient is nervous. I've talked to patients. I've tried to crown him. Even
Hmm.
I'm thinking to myself, damn, man, I wish I made that one shade lighter because I would really like it. And I'm like, "Do you like it?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, yeah, I love it." And I tell them like, "It's a shade off. Are you sure you love it?" And some people are like, "Yeah, man, I want to go home. I just need a tooth that functions, especially if it's in the back. I don't care." I'll be like, "Cool." But I tell people honestly, I'm like, "Listen, I'm like, be honest with yourself. I'm like, I won't feel bad if I have to be here just one more hour to make sure your tooth's good for the rest of your life. We'll get you a different shade or a different shape." When I have that talk to people, I'd say like maybe 1 out of 10 people actually do feel comfortable to be like, "You know what, man, I do think this and this could be changed." Almost like your barber, man. To this day, I won't tell my barber like you messed up my hairline. I'm just like, I'm just gonna get out of here. I'll deal with it. But if I start nitpicking at everything, right? I don't mind when someone does that with me. If they're nitpicking on what the tooth looks like, I'd rather be more secure with them. I don't know how your friend's process went. I don't know if he was happy with the teeth before they went on, if he's happy with them now. But that's the most important thing with dentists, as long as the patient's happy. But I have
What
heard,
are
I've
mhm.
had patients happy
Yeah.
that go home and now their wife doesn't like a tooth. That's happened. And that's the dilemma you might be dealing with where your friend might like his teeth, but you don't like his teeth. And you're like, the guy could have did a better job.
The thing is, they look a little crooked.
Yeah.
They look
Yeah.
a little crooked, but again, I don't have the heart to tell him because I love him, and
Yeah.
he's happy, and that's the most important thing.
Hey, hopefully he
Um,
listens to the podcast and gets a hint, man.
it's funny, he does listen to the podcast, but he listens to like the first 2 minutes, and then he comments, and that's he'll move on. And I'm like, you motherfucker, you didn't even listen to the whole thing.
You gotta tell him
So
something. You gotta tell him if he does that, and that will never get you the viewership you want with the YouTube algorithm. He has to pretend he watched it for an hour and then comment.
I'll tell him exactly that. What are the downsides of veneers?
Downsides of veneers. Well,
Yeah,
one thing is if you don't need them, you're just doing it for cosmetics. You're shaving healthy
yeah,
tooth structure for no reason.
right.
Okay
Which
with
sounds
that.
weird. Yeah,
Yeah, but if
yeah,
you're okay with that, that's fine. Some people just want that because they don't like their teeth anyways. They'll shave them down and make them look better.
yeah.
Now, let's say you're gonna bite into an apple. You have to be really careful. You have to cut up your fruits. Can't bite with the front tooth because remember when I said that veneer is just a shell on the front of your tooth, and that
Yep,
shell cracks. You're gonna have a crack in the middle. Remember I talked to you about crowns, which is when you drill a tooth around 360.
yep, yep.
I tell my patients, if you're the type of guy that's going to eat aggressively, there's some people. I have a lot of Chinese patients that because my boss is Chinese. A lot of the patient population is Chinese. They chew on bones, and so I tell them there's no way you're getting a veneer and chewing on bones. Some people, some people they have to change their lifestyle, but it's sad because I actually don't do this, but I offer it to people, but they
Yeah,
don't do it either because I haven't had somebody do it so far. I tell people if you want veneers and you still want to be eating apples and you want to bite on tough food in the front, you're better off getting a crown. A crown is when I don't just shave the front of your tooth off, I shave the tooth 360 all the way around. So that when you put something on there, it's much stronger. It's less likely to break that biting into something than it's a shell on the front of your tooth. Plus, veneers are aesthetic. So veneers are made from materials that are easier to break. They're more translucent. There's materials that are not as translucent that have more strength to them that you can use in the front, but they don't look as nice. But when you do a case of 6 or 7 teeth and they all look the same, you're not
yeah,
gonna notice. So my thing is, if you get crowns, you get 6 crowns. So you get 6 full coverage crowns of a strong material. You can use those like a weapon, and you can use them and work on them, and they still look good. But they're never gonna look as beautiful as a veneer. And we have to shave down more tooth to accomplish it. The only
yeah,
difference is well, crowns tend to last longer than veneers, especially if they're done right because a lot of the time veneers are moisture sensitive. If you're putting on a veneer, you have to make sure the tooth's dry. There's no blood residue on there or anything because that can cause decay in the long run underneath. When you're cementing on crowns with certain materials, you can use cement that moisture does not impact. And so you clean the tooth and you can cement the crown on. It's more likely to be there longer. In the old school, though, we don't do it as much in dentistry anymore. But gold crowns, they say gold lasts forever. You can go into people's graves right now, you'll see gold crowns. They don't come out. You can't do gold veneers though, because you can't get 360 degrees with the veneer. You're not supposed to, at least. So that's my thing. That's my take on it. As far as the bad part about veneers, they can break easier. So if you pick a stronger material, it's not as translucent, so it won't look nice. You might
mhm,
as well get a crown all the way around. But when you get a crown, now you're shaving more tooth structure down. It probably
yeah.
makes you understand why I tell people stop shaving down your nice healthy teeth just because you think your smile doesn't look good. You
Right. It's not worth it in the long run. That's what it sounds like.
A lot of times you can get braces. Like your friend, I bet you if he got braces and straightened his teeth and got whitening, he might have liked the result. And if he didn't, maybe get the straightening first and then get your veneers. because it's really
Yeah.
hard for a dentist to turn a crooked smile into a straight one with veneers. You have to bulk up one veneer, make one skinnier, make one more
Yeah.
angled, and it gets tough. But
That's the interesting things about cosmetic surgery just in general. And I'll tell you because I was very insecure about my nose for a long time and still am a little bit, you know. And so I
oh,
went to this
I actually no issues with your nose, man. If it makes you feel
so
better.
so thank you. I appreciate it. So I have a deviated septum. And so I went to this, I went to the I went to a E
ENT? Yeah.
ENT.
Yeah.
I went to an ENT and I got it checked out and he confirmed, yeah, you got a deviated septum. And I asked him like, okay, well, let's get it. I want to get it fixed. And I think it also goes back to the options. Every good doctor, that's how you know you're working with a good doctor when they give you when they lay out the options. And he laid out three options for me. It's like one dude, just try spray. Try the spray and it's almost like a steroid. It will help you snore less at night. It may, you know, it's not going to fix your deviated septum, but it'll make it less inflamed. And then there's a surgery aspect to it. There's two types of invasive surgeries that you could do. You explain the first surgery and the second surgery. And then and then even so, and then going back to how you know you're working with a great doctor is what they explain to you is that your nose becomes more sensitive if you do get a cosmetic surgery. And so as someone who's active like myself, you get hit in the nose, dude, you're that surgery that you did, like you're gonna break your nose easily because they're removing cartilage from your nose.
Yeah.
So
Did they
yeah,
explain to you the long term, what's gonna happen long term to you?
no, 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 I didn't ask that. I have a checkup with them in April. So
Bro,
tell me, let me know so I could ask them the questions.
ask him what percent of your patients that you've done the surgery to have relapsed and gone back to their original shape. And the reason I tell you that is I know the human body, I have a deviated septum. The reason I don't get the surgery done is I can't give you the exact number, but I've read about it and I've talked to people about it. It's like 60 to 70% of people, and I could be wrong with the number, but a majority of people, if the septum is put back to the center, it's going to slowly deviate back because naturally it wants to go there, and then you have to get the surgery again. Some people they get the surgery every 5 or 6 years because it's not a permanent surgery. There's nothing permanently holding that structure, and you're not getting any screws or anything put in there. They're altering your anatomy, and it's going to want to go back to the original shape, and that's usually what happens with the human body. Ask him about that. See how he feels about that, and he'll probably tell you about it for the first time. And then that right there just tells me I wouldn't trust him myself because I've went to an ENT before for the same issue, and this is back when I was in the 12th grade. Still had my government insurance back then. So obviously I went to a scumbag probably. So I went to this guy. And this motherfucker gives me antibiotics for 3 weeks. Me and my dad both go in. We both have deviated septums. I'm not even an ENT. I just have the common sense to know if that's your father and son, you've got the same anatomy. You guys have a physical issue there. This guy tells us we might have chronic sinus infections. He put me on antibiotics for 3 months. He ruined my immune system. Put me on two different antibiotics on a span of 3 months. I started getting throat infections, started getting sick because now my body couldn't handle bacteria I'm handling in the park when I'm playing basketball or something. I put in my retainer after a week. I got a throat infection just because my body couldn't handle that bacteria anymore. That's how bad it got. So he ruined my immune system. My tonsils are swollen to this day because I got a throat infection so bad while I was antibiotic resistant that they got bigger and they never went back to normal. I could feel them right here, right now. They were not this big in 11th grade. So this guy made me go on antibiotics for 3 weeks. I come in the office and I tell him nothing's changed. I only just got diarrhea, bro. You just fucked up my stomach and my dad too. This man, for the first time ever, tells me, pick up your chin, takes a light for the first time and goes, you have a naturally deviated septum. It's probably not the chronic infection. You need surgery for this. It's a physical thing. My thing is, I'm like, why the fuck did you give me antibiotics for 3 months? Like, I'm a doctor. I would never give antibiotics for 3 months, maybe 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
3 months is
yeah,
crazy. And the second thing is, he told me we needed the surgery, and he told me that the surgery is covered by your insurance. So you can come in, we could do it for you next time. I just lost faith in him. I'm like, bro, there's no way I'm getting this guy to do a surgery on me. I'm glad I waited because when I got into college, I talked to people that got the surgery, and their surgeries relapsed. I started doing research, and I noticed a lot of people's surgeries relapse. And now that I see patients on a daily basis, everyone that talks to me about their deviated septum surgery, everyone I've asked all of them, like, did it last? I promise you, I've not heard one person. I swear to God, I've not heard one person in my practice that's got a deviated septum surgery that hasn't relapsed back to their original shape. And I
Can you
looked it
tell
up.
me more about that? What do you mean they relapse back into
I'd
itch?
say I'd say I put it this way: you have a wide nostril and a skinny nostril,
Okay.
and you have in between. If you just move that
Yeah.
over to make them both about the same size,
Yeah.
it's in the middle is eventually going to want to move back over, just naturally. If you move it over, you take out. I don't know everything that's involved in the surgery, so I might sound kind of ignorant saying this, but whatever they do to shift the deviation so you have more space, it's going to
Hmm.
event. Let's say it is crooked like this, and they
Yeah.
straighten, it, they have more space. It's going to tend to go crooked again over time. It's just the anatomy that you were born with,
Okay.
and so
Is
you're
that and does new cartilage grow or is it just the anatomy, like you said,
no, I
it
can't say
starts to
for
shape?
sure. Just being a doctor, I don't think cartilage grows in general. Just even in your think about your ear, it won't grow. Cartilage doesn't grow like that. So what you're doing there is a permanent damage, but it just kind of slides back over from what I know. I sound again, people that know about this and more in depth are probably gonna think I'm stupid talking about it this way. I'm talking more. Forget about
No,
being
no,
a
no.
doctor. I'm just talking like a
You're
common guy
not.
here. Like just basically, I think of it this way: if the septum was kind of this way, right down the center, if it's this
Okay.
way and my left nostril is more obstructed, if you straighten it this way, I could breathe more. Eventually,
Yeah.
it's going to go back that way, and I could be wrong about that. So again, I don't want to like destroy an entire profession of ENTs for those DV deceptive surgeries, but that my thing is ask him about the relapse. Let him be honest with you about it because I will tell you if all his patients 100% stayed normal, he's lying to you. That's not the way it works.
Okay. I'll
But
definitely ask him about the
try
relapse.
something.
And
Try something non-surgical though.
yeah, I
Think
have been.
about-
So I try
Yeah.
tea. Now what I do is I'll drink tea before I go to sleep, mostly every night. I take a little melatonin tea. I I need to incorporate deep breathing before I go to sleep too, because I think it opens up the lungs. I try not to eat after a certain time as well before I go to sleep, just so my food could digest. And then the other thing I do is I tried nose strips that like open up your nostrils.
You probably
So
want the magnet.
I've tried the Magnum ones. Now I do the Magnum ones now. But they're a little more. It's a little more intrusive. You know, you got to stick the magnets on and put the thing on. So, but yeah,
I use
I
that.
do.
I
Yeah,
use that, and I'm thinking about when I go play basketball or football or something, I might just wear that to breathe better, to be honest, because it feels so good having it on.
yeah.
Like, actually,
It does. Yeah.
you think about it, if the issue is the center and it's a harder structure that's kind of deviated over, all you
Right.
gotta do is pull the soft part out, and that's what that device does. You get space without
Yeah.
surgery.
Yeah. That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we might have just solved the world's problem when it comes
Hey,
to
I have
breathing.
I do sleep apnea treatment at my office. Like with sleep apnea, you snore, you make a noise. Sleep apnea is when
Right.
you snore to a point where you're losing oxygen and you're
Right. And it's dangerous. Right.
killing yourself. So, we get people to do sleep studies. I do sleep apnea treatment where you can kind of just, we do it with the laser, so we can actually just modify a lot of the anatomy in the mouth and to give them more airway to breathe at night. Um, Kind of losing my train of thought here, but oh yeah, here it is. So when we do the surgeries, we get people to do not surgeries. We do the procedure. We get people to do a sleep
Mhm.
study first, see which level of sleep apnea you have. Are you just a pure snorer? Your mild sleep apnea, moderate, severe? And we do before and after studies to see if you're sleeping better afterwards compared to before.
Mhm.
One thing I do is in your first 6 nights of sleep before the treatment, we have them record their snoring, and I also have them snore under two separate conditions. One, they sleep and they record themselves sleeping normal. Another one, I want them to use some sort of adjunct to see if it helped their snoring. And one of the women I recently was working with, I had her try something called a nose cone. Just you know how you have a cone on the street? Just think of
Yeah.
a cone that you put in your nose so it spreads out your nostrils and makes you breathe more, right? Her snoring volume reduced 50% when she can have more oxygen going through her nose with the nose cone. When I told her to try the magnets, it helped even
Yeah.
better. But
Yeah.
it's just that if you like just getting more airway really helps. But for people that
Right.
sleep at
Right.
snoring, they should try some of this stuff like the magnets we're talking about. If it's just a
Right.
snoring issue and it's not about a breathing issue, sometimes you'll snore less or get more oxygen at night just from opening up your airway out here. I don't know
Right.
about you. Do you
Right.
snore at night? Like,
Dude, that's one of the other reasons why
oh yeah.
I started
You
these
should get a sleep study,
alternative
man.
ways.
I know it sounds like
Be
you're young.
No, I'll look into
Yeah,
that.
I would suggest getting a sleep. It'd be
I
cool to
am
see if you're losing oxygen or if you're just snoring, just for your personal satisfaction to know that.
okay, and I know I'm a big snorer, and because of these little things, I've been trying to incorporate in my daily life and sleeping particularly. It has helped reduce my sleeping, and one of the ways I know it's helped reduce, snoring, is because when I snore. my wife does she does one of these things to wake me up because she just gets frustrated. Um, and it wakes her up because she's a light sleeper and I'm a deep sleeper. Like you could come into the house and fucking rob
I have
everything,
to
and I would.
I've got a very similar situation, brother. Same situation with me and my fiance. So basically, like same thing. I'm always waking her up, and I could sleep. Somebody
Yeah,
could break in the house, I'm out, man. But if somebody opens the door, she's
yeah,
up.
yep,
It's hard. So trust me,
yeah.
I feel your pain, man. Find a solution, brother. Those magnets, they kind of do it a little bit, but they're still not a whole solution. You still gotta
It's
not
not.
eat or bed.
It's
You still
still
gotta have
not.
their other
Yeah,
sleep hygiene you gotta follow. So it's crazy
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Have you ever heard of sleep hygiene? Has anybody even have they brought that thing up to you? That word?
sleep of what? Heard
Sleep
of what?
hygiene? Sleep hygiene. Think of like oral
Mm,
hygiene, take care of your mouth, right? Sleep
what is
hygiene
that?
is you taking care of your sleep, like ensuring that when you're awake, you're setting yourself up for good sleep. One thing of sleep hygiene is using a device, kind of like what we use with the magnets, right? Another
Yeah,
thing for sleep hygiene is something that you mentioned. Don't eat like a really big fatty meal 2 or 3 hours before bed. You're gonna be more likely to snore as you're digesting everything. Another thing with sleep hygiene is figure out what makes you snore more. If you're laying on your back, you're most likely snoring. But sometimes when you
right,
lay on the side, it'll stop you from snoring. I've turned
right.
myself into like a 90% side sleeper just to stop the snoring because I didn't want to do
I
anything.
hate sleeping on my side though. That's the thing. I like just freaking being on my back. Like I just want to
That's
plop
the
on.
problem, man, because your
Yeah,
tongue just falls back in your throat. You lose
right.
all air snoring. It happens. You know what might help you though? For people like
What?
you that can't sleep on the side, but you want to sleep up, there's something you can
Yeah.
get called a wedge pillow. A wedge pillow is instead of flat, instead of your mattress being flat and you put a pillow on
Uh,
there, buy a little wedge that's shaped like this. Just very slight angle, maybe like 10, 15 degrees. You can either sleep on the wedge or you can put your pillow on the wedge, but that slight elevation like this, it'll stop your
yeah.
tongue from falling back. You might not snore as much, but that's basically sleep hygiene. Everybody, I encourage people to figure out how you can stop your snoring without any intervention. Then let's intervene and really get rid of it because you have to figure out, if there's something you can do first. And one thing that people don't know about, there's something called myofunctional therapy. They're exercises of the tongue and the soft palate. Like if you feel the roof of your mouth, you feel it hard up there, right? That bone.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Yep. Yep.
that's the hard palate. If you move your tongue back towards the back of your throat, it gets soft. There's no more bone, right? That's the soft palate, and that's
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
vital.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do exercises because there's muscles there to raise your soft palate, and now you have more airway at night to breathe. You can do tongue exercises to make your tongue stronger, where your tongue actually comes further down because it's a little bulkier and you have more airway. Some people, so if you just do these exercises for 30 days, you actually will notice a difference. Some people, if they change the anatomy of their mouth through exercise, they
What is
open
this
up their
called
airway.
again? You know what it's called again?
Myofunctional therapy, myo, myofunctional therapy. In this case, I'd say oral myofunctional therapy is in the mouth.
Okay.
Myofunctional therapy, it can be for any muscles. But I can send you some paper. I can send, actually, you know what, dude? If you want to download it, I believe it's free. There's a app called Snore Gym. Snore Gym. You'll sit there on the snore gym and you'll see an animation of the tongue moving. You can see through someone's mouth. You can literally follow along and do their exercises. They'll send you notifications to remind you, hey, it's time to exercise. I had a patient that sat there while he watched TV. He got used to just doing the exercises like on autopilot. He's sitting there just doing tongue push-ups all day while he's watching a movie. And that man's sleep apnea is a lot better. His after I did his treatment, he went from having sleep apnea to just becoming a pure snorer. He doesn't lose oxygen anymore. And I think it's not just my treatment; it's because he
Yeah.
dedicated himself to those exercises. Because I've been telling my
Right.
patients, I'm like, my best result is that one guy who, when we set him up for success, he was going home and exercising like 5 hours a day to make sure the treatment works. I'm like, that guy did a good job. I give an example to everybody, but
Yeah.
even alone without any surgery or nothing, like honestly, those exercises sometimes can just naturally make your anatomy better. You'll have more of an airway.
I always prefer natural rehab or not rehab, natural things you could do, natural exercises you could do to perform better, whether it's with snoring or uh, you know, speaking or working out rather than, just fucking stick an Ozempic in my gut, and then I'll shred weight. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. I'll definitely try. I'll check that out because it really 'cause you know, when my wife doesn't get sleep, I don't get sleep, and I hear about it the next day. Um, and and then I just feel bad. Like I'm like, like she's got to go into a stressful environment, and she's, she wasn't able to sleep because of me. So I'll look into that. That's cool. And it makes sense too. Like if you do these natural things with your mouth and your tongue, it's like a muscle, right? You're working out this muscle.
Yeah.
Your mouth is a
And then
muscle. Your bot. Yeah.
that's why I said, if anything, it's important to get a sleep study. Like, I know I'm not going to have you get one at this point, especially because it's a stretch in the real world to tell somebody to do this. But let's say you got a sleep study, you found out how much oxygen you lose at night. And then you do this myofunctional therapy, all the exercises for like 40, 50 days.
Hmm.
You start sleeping with a wedge pillow, stuff like that. If you retest yourself with another sleep study in like 60 or 70 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? You might notice because your sleep hygiene, your oxygen is getting better. Even if you stop snoring, at least you're not killing yourself. I know you still want to stop the snoring, but that's why sleep
Yeah.
studies are important. People that snore, they have no idea how much oxygen they're going to lose, and it's not going to hit you till you're 40. You ever wake up feeling exhausted? Like even if you do sleep alone and you have
Yeah.
a good night's sleep, you're
Um.
exhausted. It's because your heart and your lungs, they're working
mm,
overtime over all night trying to make you stay alive. My father gasps awake. I'll be like last night, like I'm sleeping
yeah.
over right now. I was awake till like 2:30 in the morning. I went to use the restroom. All I hear is and I'm like, that's his body telling him, if we keep sleeping, you're gonna die. You need to breathe. He woke up physically because his body needed to breathe. He has severe sleep apnea. So for something like
Shit.
that, and that for me, dude, I'm Indian, I'm Punjabi. Every Punjabi friend of mine, I talk to them about their fathers. Their fathers all snore. They probably all have apnea, and they don't talk about that. People don't talk
Yeah.
about that enough today in America, bro. People don't even know sleep apnea exists. They just know about snoring, and they just think it's a noise. But
Yeah.
like, it'll affect your life. How you perform at work in your 20s is directly impacted on your night of sleep. Just like for your wife that you're saying, right? As
Yeah.
much as it impacts her that you're snoring, it impacts you too, because you're the one actually losing sleep physically.
Right.
Um, I wanted to talk to you, maybe even off the podcast, about some treatment options. Like, there's treatment for sleep apnea and snoring. There's devices you can get made to open up your airway. There's something you can wear in your mouth. You can get designed by a dentist. Push your jaw forward. If your jaw's pushed forward, there's more
Yeah.
airway. Breathe better at night. So you sit there on, and you won't grind. If you're a grinder at night, you grind your teeth. It also acts as a night guard. You won't be grinding your teeth all night. Gives you more airway. You can breathe. Only problem is you'll have a dry ass mouth because you're gonna be breathing through your mouth. But
I think
uh,
I saw like an ad for that on one of my on social media
please go to
somewhere.
please go to a dentist for that. If you buy that from the internet and think you're gonna Amazon it, like you're playing with your jaw anatomy. You're gonna have jaw problems
That's
and get that.
what is it called?
It's called I'll give you the abbreviations. MAD, MAD, Mandibular Advancement Device.
Okay.
That's what that's
That sounds
called.
pretty
I mean,
cool.
we're on the pod. I might as well just talk about some of the options. Another option for sleep apnea treatment is a CPAP. A CPAP machine. You ever seen people that got the tube hooked up to their mouth?
Yes, yeah, and it's fucking
Want
loud as
that?
hell. Someone I
Want
know
that,
has
bro.
that and
That's like a last resort. You got to survive. You get that. Nobody wants that. I've talked to people that are on it. They're doing their best to get off of it. You know what the problem is once you get on it? They're all muscles in your throat, bro. If you're letting a machine send the oxygen down, now you need it to
yeah.
survive. All that tissue gets even softer and softer because you're not using it to breathe all
Holy
night. You're not
shit.
vibrating. So now you
Holy
can't sleep
shit.
without it. Now you're gonna be choking without it, and you get dependent on it. And
Yeah.
nobody's gonna talk about that, but that can happen. Especially if you're using it for 30 years. They give CPAPs to people in their 20s. I'm like, I feel so bad for what this man's gonna look like in his 60 when he says like without the device and everything's gonna be hanging in the back of the throat. But what I do for sleep apnea treatment is more revolutionary. I'm the only person in New Jersey that does this treatment. A handful of people do it in America only. It's laser treatment and it's all natural. Think of it this way: after the age of 25, every year after the age of 25, you're gonna lose 1.5% of your collagen production. So by the time you're 30, you've lost 15% of your collagen. Sorry, by the time you're 35, you lost 15% of your collagen. By the time you're 45, you lost 30% of your collagen. By the time you're 65, dude, just do the math. It's 15% of your, over and over again. So yeah, man, 60% of your collagen is lost at some point, or 70%. Collagen is not just in our skin that makes it sag. It's in the back of your throat. Remember I made you feel the hard palate, the hard part of the roof of your
Yeah.
mouth?
Yep. And the
Soft
soft one,
palate
yep.
in the back. Soft palate is full of collagen. When you lose collagen as you age, that's going to sag down just the way your skin does. Then you
Hmm.
can't breathe anymore. So the treatment I do is if you can use lasers to rejuvenate people's skin and stimulate collagen production. They had a
Hmm.
theory, and it's funny because this device I use, it was first used by gynecologists. When women needed just cosmetic surgery, just surgery in general, like to make the vagina tighter, they can tighten it by making the collagen contract in the vagina with this device, with the laser. The
Hmm.
guy who taught me this course and who made this for dentists, he said he was in Brazil or something like a gynecology like conference, And he said him and the other dentists that were just attending to attend, just to learn about the laser, they went out that night, they got drunk, and when they got back, one of their guys was just snoring and snoring and snoring, and they had it because they couldn't sleep because he was snoring. So they snuck him into the gynecology clinic. I hope they sterilized the equipment, but they put those things in his mouth and they fired it on his soft palate because it's a similar anatomy what's in the vagina. And collagen's the same in the human body too. What they saw is if you could tighten the vagina, you can tighten the soft palate. And when you tighten the soft palate, it raises. And when it raises, you have more airway to breathe at night. You're less likely to snore. So they did a lot of research. They brought it to America. They ran trials. And what they found was the mandibular advancement device that I told you about that pushes your
Yep.
jaw forward and you
Mad.
rotate,
Right.
that has about a 40% success rate in reducing sleep apnea. The CPAP machine, which forces the air down through a tube, that has a 60% chance of decreasing your sleep apnea. This laser treatment, without any intervention except just firing a laser and letting your body do its work, it's going to make your sleep apnea reduced by about 70% in the studies. So when you do the laser with the mandibular advancement device, you can almost completely eliminate your snoring. Then it gets to 100% result. Depending on your sleep apnea, you need more than one intervention sometimes. But the way this laser works is since all your collagen cells are just naturally shutting down with age, they're just shutting down. All you have
Mhm.
to do is wake them back up. What this laser does is you put heat in the back of the throat to penetrate the heat deep into the palate so that those cells which are asleep get heated up. Once they get heated up and they can start working a little bit, you fire a second laser on them. And the second laser causes a micro injury, not to anything except not too deep. The laser's settings are designed to fire just deep enough to hit the collagen cells. When you injure those collagen cells, it invokes a natural inflammatory response in your body. Your body's going to want to be inflamed. It's going to want to recover from injury. But the thing is that when you fire the laser on these cells, you stimulate them, you wake them up, and now the area is trying to recover. Your body wakes these cells back up. They start performing at their 100% function again. You start regenerating all the collagen you lost all these years. And when you regenerate all that collagen, that area raises right back up. Let's say you already just naturally had a low soft palate. We can make the collagen tighter than it naturally was for you, so we can even raise that to what is beyond your natural tightness. And so basically, think about it. What are the side effects? All I'm doing is firing light in your mouth and allowing your
Mhm.
body for the next 3 or 4 weeks to remodel its own collagen. And you come back after 21 days, we hit you with round two, hit you with round three, and every time I hit you with a round, you're coming back to me telling me I'm sleeping better and better. My snoring is getting better and better. And when you're done with this treatment, when we finally get you your sleep study and you see your like oxygen is a lot better, maybe you stop snoring. Because we do before and after recordings of sleep studies and also snoring and everything, oxygen. Like you'll see the results pretty much. And it's amazing that a natural thing like that can help. It does three functions. You can use it on the soft palate in the back of the throat to raise the
Mhm.
soft palate. You can fire it on the back of the tongue, like all the way in the back where you might gag because the tongue is really fat, your tongue will function the same. It will just make the tongue a little skinnier and contract it together. It has the same function, nothing else, but now you have more tongue space. And we fire it on the floor of the mouth under the tongue. When
Mhm.
you do that, you have so many muscles down here that you're working out during those myofunctional exercises. The collagen causes your tongue to come lower. So imagine your tongue comes lower, it gets
Yeah.
skinnier, and the soft palate and the roof of your mouth raises. And this is all your body naturally just remodeling your own collagen God formed you with. Well, that to me is the best sleep apnea treatment, but nobody, it's a
Why is
procedure that's not
why
out there.
why why are people not talking about this more?
The device, I got lucky finding it when I started working with my boss. She wanted to get a laser for office to perform surgeries, and she wanted a laser where if you put it on one setting, you'll cut gums, put another setting, you'll cut teeth, another setting, you'll cut bones. She wants a laser where you can modify them for different things, so that one day if she's working around the gum line, she doesn't have to be afraid of hitting the tooth. She can keep firing on tooth. She's only erasing gums. Little things like that, just technology being amazing, the things we can do in dentistry now. She wanted a laser. When we went to go buy the laser, we went to the Greater New York Dental Meeting in New York. It happens every Thanksgiving weekend. Vendors from all over the world come there, and this company from Switzerland came over, and they had this new laser. And what sold us is they're like, listen, you're gonna bring this into your office to do dental work. But when you start telling people that you can remove their fine lines and wrinkles from outside their mouth naturally, like their face, they have crow's feet development, you're starting to get marionette lines, you're starting to, so you're a
Hmm.
smoker, you get vertical lines by your lips.
Hmm.
When you tell a patient, I can reverse that for you. Just, hey, you need a filling, but by the way, I see those lines. I can reverse that for you with my laser naturally. People are intrigued, and that's how they sold us the laser. They told us when you have these dialogues with people, when you start doing your oral exams and look at people's palates and ask them, do you snore at night? It's a question dentists don't
Yeah.
ask. All of a sudden, you can be a sleep doctor because now you can provide them treatment if you're trained. That's how they sold it to me. So I got my sleep training because I'll never forget this one. We took one course on sleep treatment in dental school, only one. And I don't remember that shit, dude. I don't remember a lot of it. But one thing I do remember is the doctor that taught it, Dr. Thomas. I went up to him after the lecture and I'm like, we don't hear about this much. Why don't we hear about it much? He ignored my question. He told me, he's like, you're young. He's like, if you want to make money one day, look into sleep dentistry, become a sleep doctor. You'll never have to drill teeth again. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is this man talking about? I'm in dental school and they don't teach me anything about sleep. What am I supposed to do? That's when it hit me when I saw that laser. I'm like, that's what Dr. Thomas was talking about. I got to take some sleep apnea courses. I
What
went, I
is
took
this?
courses.
What's the laser called? What is it called again?
No, it's a brand and it's the model. The brand and model is called the Photona Lightwalker.
Russ,
And
can you pull that up? Can you pull that up on YouTube? See if you can search that. And
they have their own
there's a little
website.
video of
Actually,
that.
procedure,
Can
the
you?
procedure is
Yep.
trademarked. The procedure is called night lays. If you Google night lays, you're probably gonna find them first.
Okay. Night.
Night
Yeah.
lays.
Russ, see if you could pull up on YouTube Night Lays or what is it called again? Sorry, I forgot.
Photona Lightwalker. It sounds like a
Photona
Star Wars thing.
Lightwalker. It kind of
But
does.
you know what, dude? Like the reason it's so cool is just we weren't gonna buy a laser for that function, but when I found out we can do that stuff, my boss wasn't interested in that stuff. Me being a young
Yeah.
dentist, and I mean remember what Dr. Thomas told me about sleep dentistry. I went out and I took courses on sleep apnea. I got trained how to do the laser procedures. And when I got back, they worked and they worked well. So the reason that you're asking why don't people know about this? That device costs almost $200,000. No one's gonna invest in
It
that just so they can.
sounds expensive as hell too. Yeah.
Yeah,
With all the
and the
functions you can
only
add.
people don't buy that device to do sleep apnea treatment. People buy that device for dentistry. It just happens to work out. You can buy a separate handpiece that can fire back there and work. Yeah, that's actually this machine I got in my office. That thing has over 100 different functions, man. I can do like 100 different things to your mouth with that. It's unbelievable some of the things you could do with this. If you have herpes and you start having a cold sore develop today, and you have your prom tomorrow, I can have your cold sore go away by the morning instead of it becoming an ulceration and everything just because of laser technology. Though the laser just takes advantage of your natural anatomy. There's two different handpieces. One handpiece is to fire and destroy things, which is what we use it for in dentistry. There's another type of wavelength that we can use for recovery and stimulation of cells, and that's what we use with different wavelengths and different handpieces, different devices that we can hook up to this machine. We can stimulate different things in your anatomy and your biology, and one of the things is collagen production. So you can make
Yeah. Russ,
wrinkles go
go
away.
to that. Go to that top. Light Walker laser designed for ultimate ver- versatility with one of the most comprehensive list of clinical applications available on any dental laser. Lightwalker offers the high standard dental treatment, restorative dentistry, okay,
Yeah, man, you
oral
too loud.
surgery. Yeah, that's cool, man. Thanks,
I'll give you an
thanks,
example
Russ.
you could do with it. You know how you could have used this, Amir, back in the day? We have a common friend. You know, our friend Jeet. He always got
Yep.
migraines, and it's because honestly, when he grew up, he'd play with us, and we were kind of assholes. We didn't pay attention to the fact that he might have some health issues or something, man. Like he shouldn't have been on the heat that much. He gets dehydrated easily. We should have taken more care of
Okay.
him, honestly. But one of the
Yeah.
things is he kind of blames it. He thinks that he got some concussions when we were younger and we were playing on the street, and
Really?
he kind of
Wow.
just played through them, and
I
he
do
feels like
remember
that
him
caused.
saying, I
Yeah,
do
so he has
remember him
migraine.
saying, yeah, yeah,
Someone like him, let's say we're kids again, and I have him, he has a concussion. I'm an adult dentist, and I can't do this as a dentist, but I'll tell you how great this machine is. If a brain injury is just a swelling, it's swollen in there, and this machine, if it can decrease swelling, I remember the guy who taught us the course taught us this. His daughter played soccer, she got injured. He took her back to the office while she had a concussion from the hospital when they told her she's going to have to be on bed rest for 3 weeks. Just as an experiment, because he can do this to his daughter, you can't do this to patients. He fired the laser on the anti-inflammatory function on the highest level on her brain, so it'll penetrate her skull and her brain would be getting laser treatment. He lasered her brain. Her inflammation went down in 4 hours. Her speech was good the next day. She was back at soccer in 3 days, got cleared by the hospital. Because naturally, he was able to reverse it by causing a natural response. Your body's not going to send anti-inflammatory cells up there to fix your brain. He stimulated that process with the laser. Similar to what we can do, even if you have a bruise, I can make a bruise go away in 2 days. It'll stimulate. What takes 3 or 4 days for you to heal, we're going to stimulate that process in about 4 to 5 hours, and your body's going to keep healing. So that's kind of where the collagen comes in for the back of the throat. We're stimulating a natural healing back to your normal state,
yeah.
and it goes up. And we can actually put you in a new state, a better state than what you had before by making even more collagen than you originally had. So, and the reason that it's people don't know about it, honestly, is because people buy this laser for dentistry, not for sleep apnea. In New Jersey, three people have this laser. My boss has it, and she got it so we could do surgeries. The other two offices that have it, they have pediatric dentists that treat children. The reason they
Hmm.
have it is they don't want to scare kids with the drill. They can laser away cavities and then they can fill
Okay.
them. And so it's good for pediatric dentists. But anytime someone has sleep apnea, now that people are starting to know a little bit more about this, I've seen that when a doctor sends you out for a sleep study, usually they tell you you have this level of sleep apnea. Here are your options. You can get a mandibular advancement device, you can get a CPAP. Doctors are starting to write night lays as an option now. And when patients are like, I don't want to sleep with something in my mouth, and they Google night lays and they go on that website you guys are on, it
Yeah.
tells you who are the providers of this procedure. And you go on there, and there's only three offices in Jersey you're gonna find that have this device. Two of them are for kids. So anybody that wants night lays hits us up, and they're like, "Hey, we heard you do night lays. You're the only ones in Jersey that do it." And we're like, "Yeah, thank you." And I've been really shocked because we've been doing this for about 3 years. It's picked up in the last month. I think people are getting more educated on it now, and doctors are recommending that plan to patients. We're looking into it and coming to me now. But I'd say in the next 10 years from now, it'll probably be more common and people know about it. It's an FDA approved procedure. And so it's completely safe. There's research on it. But when something gets FDA approval, I mean, this thing's been out since 2010 and people haven't heard about it now. Now that's been FDA approved about 5 or 6 years ago, you're slowly going to start to hear about it. They're going to start incorporating into curriculum, start teaching people about it. And when doctors recommend that as a treatment option, people are going to look for offices like that. They'll come to office like mine, or dentists are going to be like, why is that motherfucker getting all the sleep apnea patients? Like that's where the money is. I want to make that money. They might get the training, they might buy the device, they might become a provider in that network that has a device in New Jersey. And I encourage it. Like I don't want to monopolize the business. I would just wish people would sleep better. If all dentists got this device, started doing sleep apnea treatment, it'd benefit the world. It's just so expensive. Now my thing
Yeah.
is the guy, it's all business, unfortunately, man. The medical industry is just like that, dude. They're gonna give you a bunch of drugs, not try to find a solution. If you think of it from a business perspective, the guy that bought it over from Brazil or whatever, he wanted to market to his dentists. He got everything trademarked. He got all the FDA approval, and he got it exclusively so the night lace FDA approved treatment can be done through the device from the Fatana Lightwalker. Basically, he's licensed with them. Now that company in Switzerland is the only device that can be used to do an American FDA approved treatment. So now everyone has to go buy that Swiss product. I'm pretty sure they're paying him. You own the product. You own the rights to this. Not you own the rights to this procedure, right? Monopolize it. Let us be the only laser that provides this, right? If he wanted to, honestly, if I was in this position, it's not about the money, man. I'd try to come up with a simple, cheaper laser that
Yeah.
serves this function that you can buy in a dental office that you don't have to pay 200,000 for because you just want collagen stimulation. You don't want the other 100 functions. That's possible. People don't know about this yet. I mean, someone could steal this idea right now, become a billionaire. I mean, I don't feel like working on this idea, so feel free, anyone. $1 million idea. Make a laser that only does the collagen. Sell it to a dentist. Dentists are going to start doing sleep apnea treatment when they can buy a laser for 20,000. They're not going to pay 200,000 to start treating
Right.
people when you don't even know if patients are coming in. So for me, I lucked out. My boss bought it for surgery. I can use it for other reasons. People aren't going to buy it directly for sleep apnea treatment. It's too expensive. It doesn't make sense. If they would just make this more of a human experience and try to make a device that's more affordable, or a device that has one specific function, and maybe you can even give that to an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat doctor. Let them work on the freaking throat with it and let them diagnose sleep treatment. Or sleep doctors can even use this stuff. That's the ultimate goal and ultimate vision. I can almost guarantee you and promise you that because it's a money maker for the company and for the guy that has the patent. We're never going to see this as a universal thing. This is going to be reserved for people that just by chance hear about it, come across it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like now. The best I can do personally is
Mm-hmm.
market it to people. An idea I had was going to all the sleep centers in New Jersey and giving
Hmm.
out a pamphlet educating patients about sleep apnea and the importance of sleep apnea treatment and their options. And if everybody that walks into a sleep office takes a pamphlet and they see their options, including nightlays, they might Google what that is. And that's something I thought a way for me to expand business. I can do outreach like that. I just haven't done it yet. My boss also wants me to have like a really perfect pamphlet, like really, really, really good, and she's very picky. So for me to get that pamphlet done completely, it's gonna take some work. It's gonna be a while before we do that. But that's my goal is like if I can't have the industry change, at least have the people come to me, educate people about it, and maybe when enough people start hearing about it and the word spreads, maybe there'll be other professionals that want to start providing it for people. That's the only way I could see it spreading. That's something I can do personally. But from the perspective of the business, I don't think they're ever going to do anything to expand this. 10 years from now, people probably still might not even know this exists. But if it grows the way it's growing the last couple of years where people are starting to hear about it, and if they make a new device that's more affordable for a dentist to use, then I'd say people could use it more. But Right now, it's just kind of only I could do it. Even my boss doesn't do it. She's not trained for the procedure. So technically, I'm the only dentist in New Jersey that does this procedure. Not even her. I've done it on her. She can't do it on me.
Badass, dude. What do you think about those kind of those jaw things that kind of help you like I think they strain your jaw out or make it more uh they shape your jaw a little better. You know, it's like this rubber thing you chew on. You might have
I
seen
know
like
you're
an
talking about.
ad for them. What do you think about those? Because that sounds like another gimmick to me. Because I feel like it,
Here's
it
the
it could
thing.
also fuck up your jaw structure.
Yeah, they're not wrong. They're relying on the fact that like if you sat there and you ate like 1,000 hot dogs all day and just kept spitting them out, you're gonna do a ton of exercise. Your jaw's gonna get defined, right? They put that thing in your mouth because it keeps your jaw muscles flexed. It's almost like you're exercising all the time, so you don't have to consciously exercise. You're gonna get the jaw shape that you want. The only problem is that you should have an even bite on all of your teeth, and if there's too much space between your teeth and you're biting that down, you're impacting the actual joint here that's articulating over and over. That
Right.
joint is going to have inflammation. You can get arthritis in there one day if you're causing damage at a young age when you don't feel it. So stuff
Right.
like that, it works because it works on the muscle, but it does sometimes cause damage to your anatomy. It's like if you're using that thing and your jaws are hurting and you're like, fuck it, I gotta no pain, no gain. I gotta go through it. You're doing the wrong thing, man. It, pain is a signal that you should stop doing it. If you're using that thing all the time and it's sculpting your jaw and you have no jaw problems, you're not tense with your jaw in the morning, you're not clenching and grinding anymore, it might work for you. So I think it works for some people, but not for all. But the problem is when they market it, they don't tell you about the side effects. Like some people, if they knew initially that my jaw might get fucked up, they might not even try it. They don't want to deal with that. Because imagine you're chewing and now you're in pain every time you chew. You don't want that to happen just because you want a chiseled jaw. But it's not every case. Some people it works for them great. Like
Yeah.
people fight through the pain like retards. I don't know, but I shouldn't say that. Can we edit that out? We don't use that word anymore, bro. We're gonna
No,
change that to dumbass.
I think we should use that word because
Bro, you know what though? Politically, we can't use it, man. But I will say here, just as far as I am obviously not calling someone retarded. I apologize for using that word to mean
dude,
stupid or something. I
stop it. You
apologize.
don't have to apologize.
No,
You can say
now
whatever
I'm
you,
politically correct. I've corrected myself. Nobody could say I was, wrong. I made a statement that was politically incorrect.
dude. When I first
Please
got on
don't make this
Reddit,
the
I
only,
didn't.
dude. Don't be that guy that makes this the only clip that makes it to Instagram.
Oh
To
no,
get
no,
people to
no, 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 absolutely
They're like,
not. I
oh
would
man, they're
not do
talking
that.
about controversial topics. Can we use the word
No,
retard
no.
anymore? Like that's funny, man. But yeah, man, it
Eh,
slips out sometimes, man. It's crazy how it works. We gotta really control ourselves. That's to
dude,
a point where you and me know
it's
that I'm
fine.
not meaning something bad, but it still feels like you're doing something bad because of the way the world is. It still feels like I did something wrong there.
Yeah, I think the world is teetering on PC outrage all the time, political outrage all the time, political correctness outrage all the time. The other day I got on not the other day, a few months ago I got on Reddit. I didn't know how to use Reddit at all. So I posted something that was like, am I retarded? I don't know how to use Reddit because when you first get on Reddit, it's such a different social media application from like an Instagram, a TikTok, or it's you got, to post something, you got to read through the rules of a community and
Yeah,
then you got to follow the threads. So, and then if your post doesn't align with the rules, like your post automatically gets taken off. So,
yeah,
I posted, I was like, am I retarded? I don't want to use Reddit. But over time you get to use it and you figure it out.
yeah.
But dude, I really
I thought you were,
appreciate you.
I thought you were gonna tell me that you wrote that in a forum. Like, am I retarded that I couldn't just read it? And I thought then they flamed you for using the word. I thought that's what you're getting at.
No, I just posted about it, but dude, thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun. I certainly learned a lot from you coming on, talking about dentistry, talking about your career path, because we know each other. We go back a long time. Uh, but to hear you talk so passionately about what you do, I think it is so refreshing to hear. And I hope other people could take away that from this podcast. If they take anything away, is that you are truly passionate about what you do and you um, always have been, and you're very knowledgeable about this shit. So I really appreciate that, brother.
I appreciate the kind words, man. You've come a long way. I'm really proud of you. As soon as I heard that you had this podcast, I just wanted to come support. I hope it blows up. I hope great things
Uh,
happen. I hope, if anything, you get a personal experience out of this more than anything that this is a good space for you, for your mental health or anything. Sometimes it's just
Yeah,
therapeutic, and sometimes this is just something you need
it
as an outlet.
really is. Absolutely, dude. That is such a great point. It is such a great outlet for me because I think it is truly a space where I could be expressive, say what I'm thinking, say what I'm feeling.
Yeah,
So honestly, it is therapy for me in a lot of ways. And it's not just that, but it's helped me be a better person, be a better communicator, be a better husband, be a better employee, be a better friend. So it's checked off a lot of things for me, and the pros are just really high. Like the pros are just there's just the list of the pros that I've had from this podcast. Now and then you're gonna say like stupid, like you say things that you may say something you don't mean, or But yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
What were we gonna say?
No, no, you continue.
No, that was it. That was it.
Well, basically, I was gonna tell you this. People are listening to podcasts more and more like nowadays, right? I remember I had an iPod in 2008, and I looked at my iPod. I was going through the wheel, and I'm like, all right, what's this podcast thing, right? So I go on iTunes and I go to podcasts, and I see all these podcasts. I'm like, what the hell are these? And it was like little interviews and radio shows and stuff that you can download, right? And back in the day, man, remember we used to watch like WWE a lot when we were younger, like with like wrestling. So like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I, I back then I listened to this wrestling podcast. It was called the Sharpshooters Wrestling Podcast, right? I listened to this thing in eighth grade. The reason I listened to it is just there's these three dudes, right? They're from California, just three dudes from the hood, man, just talking about wrestling. It was hilarious because the type of stuff they'd be saying, like they'd blend like the fakeness to reality, and they'd be like, "How you expect us to believe this, man? You expect us to believe Rey Mysterio beat that big ass guy or something?" Or like I remember there's a storyline where Rey Mysterio got like kidnapped or dragged by Kane like into the depths of hell or something, right? And they were talking about it like they're just so funny. In eighth grade, I'm listening to this. I'm thinking about it because I'm kind of looking at it like, oh, like is like teeter tottering, like this kind of reality, kind of not.
yeah,
And they're like, yo, so what happened? That show was in Scotland. So when Kane had to fly back to the US with all the other wrestlers, I'm like, didn't they ask him where's Ray? Didn't Ray have friends? I'm like, you just had like this man just taking his flight back to America and like Ray's missing. Like there's stuff like that you hear as a kid. It's so funny and stupid that I was laughing at it, right? So what I did is I would listen to this podcast like every other night in my headphones and going to sleep, right? I was probably the first person listen to podcasts from 2008 to like 2014. Then I stopped because like dental school, college got hard, and I stopped listening to podcasts. Then they started blowing up later. When I became a dentist, I went back and I checked if the Sharpshooters Wrestling podcast still exists. From 2008 till now, they've been weekly. They still only have like 1,000 views or less. I just realized these guys, their passion made me watch their podcast when I was a kid. And to this day,
yeah,
they don't care about the money, man. They
yeah.
they are politically correct as fuck. They just want to talk about wrestling the way they want to talk about it. They take
Right.
pride in being the longest weekly episodic wrestling podcast in history that they make no money off of. But they talk about how this is their outlet to express this. If they're fans and they got to talk to somebody about this, getting their opinions out here and talking like this, it's therapeutic. And so they've said multiple
Yeah,
times, not about the money. We love doing this. And I feel like for you too, don't ever get discouraged by views or anything like that. If this is something you love doing, man, and just keep doing it. They've been doing it for like 20 years and they love it. And nobody's gonna say
I'm
nothing to
gonna
them, bro.
I want to plug him in just because you said that. I want to plug him into
Oh, you know what? They took
in the
credit for me being a
details.
dentist. I emailed them because they have a listener feedback section, and there's this
Yeah,
guy named the Diz that used to always like email back in the day. So I even wrote in my email, I'm like, hey, I used to listen to you guys like 12 years ago. I'm like, does this man still emailing? What's going on? I'm like, you still a Packers fan? Is Marcus still a Packers fan? Does Eric still like the Raiders, stuff like that? I asked a bunch of questions because I've been missing for 12 years, and I want to make sure these are still the guys personally that I know. They're the
yeah,
same dudes. I went to dental school and I went through college and I couldn't listen no more, but I'm back now. Like I have a 30-minute drive to work. I'm gonna listen to you guys more often. And I don't even listen to them for wrestling, man. I just love hearing them joke around. 40% of the podcast, them talking about bullshit and news and not about wrestling. And I just love listening to them, their banter, dude. And I let them know I'm like, I'm a dentist now. I'm like, I was just a young kid from the hood, inspired because you guys talked the way people in my environment spoke, and you had
yeah,
similar opinions what we would have had, and I loved it. And you guys were adults, and I wrote them a really nice, passionate email telling them like, thank you for staying on the air after all these years. It means a lot to me. You guys are still doing this for people when I personally, probably one of your biggest fans, stopped listening 12 years ago. You guys are still going at it, barely have views. I made it to listener feedback in one of the things. And these guys are so hilarious. After they read my email, all they got out of that was they're like, we inspired this young man from New Jersey to be a dentist. The Sharpshooter podcast, we can add that to our resume. We inspired this young man to be a dentist. We inspired the youth. And they started joking around about it. I was happy to just make it on the podcast finally after all these years, bro. It's like with them. And that's why I have a soft spot for hot podcasts, man. I understand it's not always a business, bro. It's fun, man. I'd love to be on here for fun. You and me are gonna have fun being on here. I knew it. So I wanted
Yeah.
to be on here for that
It is
reason.
fun because you know what it is? It's not, there's no structure to it, and it's not scripted. And that's one of the awesome things about having a podcast is that you know, it's not scripted. You're having a conversation with a person or a few people, and it's natural banter. It's personal. It has, you know, ex personal experience. You add your own flavor to it, and again, I'm doing this because it is a lot of fun for me, and I think it's also uh fun and interesting to learn people's perspective, how they think about certain things, why they're passionate about what they are passionate about, what inspires them. And if I could learn from each guest, like that's also pretty damn rewarding too.
Yeah,
So,
that
and
is.
then also along the way, you do inspire people too. Like I used to do lives on this channel, which I've cut back on, which I just don't do anymore because by the time I'm reading the comment, like the conversation dies out. And so,
Yeah.
but you know, it's like people are most people on the internet, what I would say, they're pretty they're nice. Like they're friendly, they say nice things. Um, but yeah, uh again, appreciate you coming on, man. This was a lot of fun.
Bro, man, I can't wait for you guys. I can't wait for the first podcast on Mars, by the way. I can't wait for that. It's gonna come, right? I don't remember that. So that's gonna be
That
fun.
was yeah, I don't know if that's coming. That might be my friend doing it, but yeah.
All right. Gotta talk to
Later,
Elon
bro.
about that. All right, man. It was great talking to you, brother.